Got Thai last December. I've spent almost every minute with her since. When I first brought her home, she was eating little brown pieces in a bag, and it was just what kind of came recommended. Just always thought dog food is dog food. Didn't really piece together that dogs eat food. As soon as we brought the farmer's dog in, her skin was better, she was more active, high quality poops. If I can invest in her health and be proactive, I think it's worth it.
See the benefits of fresh food at betterforthem.com.
As you get older, are you worried about staying sharp and alert? Forebrain from the Harvard-educated experts at Force Factor contains key ingredients to help boost memory, learning, clarity, focus, and more. Rush to Walmart and find Forebrain, our #1 brain booster, in the vitamin aisle.
This is CNN. More people get their news from CNN than any other news source.
Shock is now turning to anger in Beirut after a massive explosion left at least 137 people dead so far. The Lebanese government now says it was caused by explosives left in an unsupervised warehouse for 6 years. How is that possible when there were warnings about it? CNN's Arwa Damon has more.
Nothing prepared them for this. 3,000 tons of ammonium nitrate exploding, sending a shockwave so strong, so vast, many who survived say they thought doomsday had arrived. Prayers were lost to fear and chaos. Life's iconic moments swept away in an instant. And in its aftermath, an apocalyptic wasteland. The destruction on such a scale, many here cannot even find the words to express the depth of their emotions. With more than 135 dead, 5,000 wounded, and dozens of others still missing, there is shock, horror, and deep sorrow, coupled with anger and demands for answers. How is it that such a massive amount of dangerous explosive material, confiscated in 2014, was stored in an unsecured warehouse, despite multiple warnings from the head of customs? The Lebanese government said that many port officials will be put under house arrest and
to hold accountable those responsible and inflict on them the most severe punishment.
But there's little faith in this country's rulers, in a nation where corruption dominates and the people suffer at the hands of the political elite. U.S. President Trump offered his condolences, floating the idea this may not have been an accident, but offering no proof.
It looks like a terrible attack.
And then his own Secretary of Defense refuted that claim.
Most believe it was an accident as reported. Beyond that, I have nothing further to report on that. It's obviously a tragedy.
It is a tragedy, the largest in a chain of many, a failing economy, the spread of COVID-19 that have crippled this nation. 300,000 people have been displaced. Damages are estimated to range from $10 to $15 billion. How do you recover from something like this? Physically, emotionally, or as a nation?
And what we're seeing now, Kate, is an army of volunteers from Beirut and from all over the country coming in and helping with the cleanup effort, helping especially the elderly try to clean up their homes as well, not just the streets. You have medical field tents that have been set up for basic bandage changes or basic first aid to try to ease some of the burden on the hospital. You have people who are distributing food, and there really is this realization among the Lebanese population that if they want to get through this, they can't rely on their government. They're going to have to continue to lean on each other.
I still, honestly, Arwa, I cannot get over those images that you just brought to us. It is hard to wrap your mind how that can happen, how that did happen in an instant. Thank you, Arwa, so much for your great reporting, as always. And thank you all so much for joining us this hour. I'm Kate Baldwin. CNN's coverage continues now with John King.
Thank you, Kate, and hello, everybody. I'm John King in Washington. Thank you for sharing your day with us. Trouble ahead. Those are the words of the nation's top infectious disease expert, Dr. Anthony Fauci, who says he sees warning signs in the data and that those warning signs mean the coronavirus uptick could mushroom into surges if the country doesn't adjust its behavior, and do that right now. Another painful reminder today of the coronavirus disruption 1.2 million more Americans filing for first-time unemployment benefits. We may hear from the president this hour. He's heading to Ohio today, and he is again predicting the virus will just disappear. And in his view, it is already fading. Now, much of the data this hour is positive. The U.S. 7-day average of cases is the lowest it's been since mid-July. You see it there, just under 57,000 new infections per day. That is important progress, yes. But progress, we need to note, from a summer surge point that simply didn't have to happen. Remember, the baseline was down to 20,000 new cases per day. Back not too long ago, Dr. Fauci says even that was too high. Not a good baseline, are his exact words. Another thing to watch, the number of daily tests fell again on Wednesday to 665,000. That's the lowest level since July 8th. Experts say millions of tests per day is the number required to map and then control this pandemic. Even as the new cases are falling, new deaths, sadly, are not, at least not yet. 1,388 COVID-19 deaths on Wednesday, the United States averaging at the moment 1,000 plus deaths a day. The presumptive Democratic nominee, Joe Biden, says he would roll back some reopenings if he was in charge today. And in a new interview, the former vice president talks in detail about the challenges of reopening schools. The president sees things more black and white. He says the economy should stay open and that schools must reopen. Listen to Dr. Fauci, and you hear something you don't hear that often from the president. Talk of a middle ground.
Some people tend to think you either need to shut down completely, or some people then think, let it rip, just do anything you want. No, you can proceed to open up the country and get the economy back, even when you have situations that we have now. So we've got to get away from that all or none phenomenon. Is not. We can carefully proceed.
Let's take a look through the numbers. And again, many of them at this moment are more encouraging. First, let's start with our state trend map. If you look at this map, what are you not seeing? Not a lot of red, only a little bit of orange. That is great. 3 states trending up, 2 in orange, 1 in red. The red is Hawaii, Illinois, and Massachusetts trending up. 24 states, that's the beige or the yellow holding steady. 23 states, that's the green heading down, including Florida and California, Arizona. They have been part of the big summer surge. As of this day, this is a much better map than we have seen in some time. Just for comparison, remember this. Remember this? This is 1 month ago. 1 month ago, look at all that orange and all that red. 32 states trending up 1 month ago. Again, I just want to come back to this. This is a much improving map. 3 states trending up, 23 states down, 24 steady. Sadly, and we've learned this the last 6 months, even as the case picture improves, and let's hope it stays that way, deaths are lagging, and we still have 15 states where deaths are higher this week than the previous week. This is an improvement from the last few days, but still, 15 states, the deaths are still trending up, 17 steady, 18 states where the deaths are trending down, including the large state of Texas, which has been part of the summer surge. So where are cases going down? Florida and Arizona have been part of the summer surge. You see the 7-day moving average in Florida, the red line, trending down. That's a good thing. The challenge is keep it there and push that lower. Arizona, same deal. You see the 7-day moving average moving down. New Mexico, smaller number of cases numerically, but still, you had the summer surge. Now you see that trending down. That's the way you want to keep it. The question is, does it come back? Where do you see cases going up? Illinois is one of them, and the numbers here are pretty sizable. You see, it's not a giant spike, but the 7-day moving average trending up and trending up. The governor there trying to move on that. Hawaii, a smaller state, much lower case count per, if you're doing individual numbers, but again, you see it pretty low in July, beginning of July, trending up there. That's what you do not want happening. Here's one of the things we watch. As the state-by-state data does improve, the question is there something troublesome around the corner? Positivity in the test, the percentage of new coronavirus tests that come back positive. You see Nevada's 7-day average. It was moving down 32%. It was 32% yesterday. That is evidence of major community spread. Nevada now among the hotspots. Dr. Deborah Birx of the White House Task Force looks at these areas here: Boston, Baltimore, and D.C., Atlanta, Detroit, Chicago, Kansas City, Omaha, the Central Valley out in California, Portland, Oregon. These are the places she identifies right now as of major concern to the White House Task Force. Why? Because positivity rates are going up, and if you listen to Dr. Fauci, a little bit more.
What Dr. Birx is saying is now is the time to accelerate the fundamental preventive measures that we all talk about: masks, social distancing, avoiding crowds, outdoors greater than indoors, washing hands, etc. Those kind of simple things can actually prevent that uptick from becoming a surge. So she was warning the states and the cities to be careful, because this is a predictor of trouble ahead.
Here with me now to share her expertise and her insights, our CNN medical analyst, former CDC disease detective, Dr. Seema Yasmin. Dr. Yasmin, thank you so much for being with us. We're at one of these crossroads moments where I need your expertise to help people understand. If you look at the state-by-state map, that is the most optimistic map I've been able to show in quite some time. And yet, you hear Dr. Fauci and you hear Dr. Birx say potential trouble ahead. Explain that.
Potential trouble ahead, John, because we're kind of playing whack-a-mole in a way, in that some states, they see the surges. We saw this in New York and the Northeast in the spring. Then they see a decline. And then what do we see is more new hotspots, more states dealing with very troubling numbers of COVID-19 infections, hospitalizations, and deaths. So even as you're saying rightly that places like Arizona and Florida may be starting to plateau, maybe seeing a decline, two things are happening. One is in those states, they are still not doing enough testing on a daily basis. In Arizona, they're only doing about 16% of the daily testing that they should be doing. It's really low. And the test positivity rate is really high. On the other hand, what I'm worried about, John, and this is what I think Dr. Fauci is alluding to when he says about bad predictions for the future, is even as some states are getting a handle on things possibly, we're seeing spikes in places like Montana, Missouri, and Oklahoma. So these are some Midwestern states that historically have had lower levels of COVID-19 infections. And then we're starting to see these troubling metrics that could spell out bad news for the future.
And so those states are less populated. So if they start to spike there, every case counts and every individual who's ill counts, obviously, but the numbers would move less dramatically if it's in the smaller states. The issue is, and Dr. Fauci tried to explain this, is if we went back in time, we were down around Memorial Day to about 20,000 cases nationally on average per day. Everybody thought, wow, the United States is doing a much better job. Then we have the summer surge. Listen to Dr. Fauci, who makes clear he wishes that when we were at that 20,000, everyone had taken a deep breath, slowed down about reopening, and shove that down more.
We saw in Arizona, which was a good example, they went up and they started to really clamp down and do things right. And the cases came right down. We can do that throughout those areas that are surging. So we will be able to get that baseline down to a level of hundreds of cases and maybe 1,000 or two rather than 20,000.
How long would that take? If we are perfect or near perfect, and by we, that means 50 states, that means 13,000 school districts now as we go into the school year, how long would it take to feasibly get down to where Dr. Fauci wishes we were before the reopening happened? 1,000, 2,000 cases a day? Right now we're closer to 50,000.
So in the midst of this despair and these really troubling numbers, John, I think here is where we can find some hope and some optimism, because the message is really this. If we were to start taking this seriously tomorrow, if we were to start saying, instead of doing about 600,000 or 700,000 tests a day in America, we're going to really aim for at least 2 million, if not 4 million tests a day, if we're going to make sure we get those test results back in a few days, if we're going to follow up with contact tracing and isolating, then we're looking at a situation where we could start to see those lower levels of daily infections in about 6 weeks. So that's the optimism here, that if we were to take this seriously, we actually have the public health tools and strategies that can help us do that. Sadly, we are flailing because we're not taking these very basic measures. And that's why Dr. Fauci is saying is that, we reopened too early, sadly. We got down to 20,000 cases a day, which is still really high. Compare that to what Italy was doing, Germany was doing. They were only really reopening when that baseline was very, very low. But I think the message needs to be that we are fatigued. We are so fed up out of our brains of this pandemic. But if the government was to really get its act together tomorrow, take this seriously, have a cohesive national strategy, we could start to get back to normal, as other nations have, within the next month or two.
Well, then let me close with this. There are seeds of potential optimism, let me put it that way, but let me show you a map. There are 20 states where the positivity rate is up this week compared to last week, and yet at the very same time, testing is down. The number of tests being conducted is dropping in those states, even as the positivity rate goes up. That's a problem, right? That's the wrong direction?
a huge problem. And actually, when you look at these graphs of what the test positivity rate is in different states, and then on the same graph, you can see how much testing is that state actually doing, you start to see a correlation, John. In the Northeast, states like Vermont, Maine, Connecticut, where they have a really, really low infection rates. In fact, test positivity rates of around 1%, they are doing like 200% or 300% of the testing that they should be doing. So they are knocking it out of the park, and then you directly see, okay, these states are doing tons of testing, their infection rates are way down. That's how important COVID-19 testing is. Testing really helps you get a handle on a pandemic. It helps you figure out who's the case, who isn't, who needs to have contact tracing, who doesn't. And those states really show that that's the strategy we all need to be taking.
If we're going to get out of the whack-a-mole, as you noted, we're going to need all of the pieces at the same time. That has yet to happen. We will see if we can get to that point. Dr. Yasmin, very much appreciate your insights. We'll continue the conversation. And for much more on this crossroads moment, join Anderson Cooper and Dr. Sanjay Gupta tonight for Coronavirus Facts and Fears. That's live at 8 o'clock Eastern right here on CNN. Coming up, the president and his Democratic rival, well, very different takes on how much time and what to do to handle this pandemic.
Don't you just love the look on the kids' faces?
Yeah, that look of pure terror.
No, the smile.
And that second right before the first tear comes.
What?
Pizza on a bagel. We can all agree with that.
Do you want a hug?
Being a patient with diabetes myself, I can say without question that the Dexcom system is the most powerful tool to help navigate diabetes better on a daily basis.
I love it. I just wear a little sensor and that's it. It's totally painless and private.
The Dexcom sends my glucose readings to my receiver every 5 minutes. I just pull it out of my pocket and look, and I don't have to prick my finger.
Dexcom puts you in control, not your diabetes.
Sir, we have a doctor.
You're talking about a first-generation American from the streets of the Imperial Valley who rose to beat the odds. She worked nights and weekends till she earned herself a master's degree. She was running in a marathon when a man behind her collapsed from cardiac arrest, and using her experience saved this man's life. So why do I think there should be more people like Carmen Bravo in this world? Because that man was me.
The coronavirus is wrecking state and local budgets. If the Senate doesn't act, it will mean painful cuts to essential public services across America. Fewer teachers and nurses, longer response times, dirtier streets. But some say our states should just go bankrupt. Text FUND to 237-263 to tell Congress to fund our essential public services. AFSCME is responsible for the content of this ad.
The Quarantine 15. So not happening. Lose up to 18 pounds in your first 2 months. You'll enjoy delicious new meals and probiotic shakes to help support your immunity. Delivered free. Get 50% off a month of meals and shakes.
Attention, anyone on Medicare. Did you know you may now be eligible for additional Medicare-approved benefits?
I'm on Medicare. What kind of additional benefits could I be eligible for?
You may now be eligible for additional Medicare-approved benefits, including dental, vision, hearing, and prescription drugs. Just call 800-882-0987 now to find out if you're eligible for a Medicare Advantage plan that includes additional benefits like free hearing aids, free eyeglasses, free meal delivery, and expanded at-home telehealth visits.
Can I really get extra benefits for little to no additional costs?
You may also be eligible for $0 monthly premiums, $0 deductibles, or no copays. Just call the toll-free number on your screen now to see if you qualify for additional benefits. There is no obligation to enroll. The call and Medicare benefits review are absolutely free.
I'm at home mostly now. What benefits can I get here at my home?
You may also be eligible for additional benefits with a Medicare Advantage plan that includes additional benefits like home prescription delivery and expanded at-home telehealth visits. You don't get these benefits automatically, so call now to see if you're eligible. Just call 800-882-0987 now to find out if you're eligible for a Medicare Advantage plan that includes additional benefits like free hearing aids, free eyeglasses, free meal delivery, and free rides to medical appointments. You may also be eligible for $0 monthly premiums, $0 deductibles, or no copays. Just Just call the toll-free number on your screen now to see if you qualify for additional benefits, including dental, vision, hearing, and prescription drugs. There is no obligation to enroll. The call and Medicare benefits review are absolutely free. Just call 800-882-0987. 800-882-0987.
Some breaking news just into CNN. The state of New York now suing in an attempt to dissolve the National Rifle Association. Here's the New York's Attorney General just moments ago.
Just a few minutes ago, my office filed a lawsuit against the National Rifle Association to dissolve the organization in its entirety for years of self-dealing and illegal conduct that violate New York's charities law and undermine its own mission.
Let's get right to our crime and justice correspondent, Shimon Prokopez. Shimon, it would be a big deal, but I also want to note it's also an election year. Is there merit to this suit? Does the Attorney General think she can prove enough criminal conduct to dissolve this organization?
Yeah, and that's exactly the question I posed to her, because she is going to be criticized for doing it in August, just months from the election. Of course, the NRA, a very pro-Republican group, I asked her specifically if she was concerned about the president's reaction to this, which I'm sure we will get at some point. And she said, look, this is all based on the facts and what their investigation has found. They spent months subpoenaing information from various organizations. They say they have whistleblowers, people who worked at the NRA. They also subpoenaed information from a marketing company that once did work for the NRA. So they say they have a lot of information, which essentially shows that its leader, the NRA's leader, Wayne LaPierre, was using the organization as basically a slush fund to fund a lavish lifestyle. It was money that they used that was supposed to go to the organization that they used for personal gain, flights, meals, things we always hear in some of these organizations. They say they have the receipts, they have the information. The other thing that she says, that basically the organization took millions of dollars away from its charitable mission. And of course, they're filing this lawsuit in New York, John, because the NRA, the organization, is registered as a charity here in New York State. And so that's why the Attorney General has jurisdiction over the organization. She was also asked if she would be referring this for criminal charges. She's alleging all sorts of misconduct, some of it illegal and potentially criminal. She would not discuss that, but she did say that they were referring some of the information that they received to the IRS because there are allegations that they lied on their tax returns and tax forms. So all of this is still very much early. She filed a lawsuit today. The NRA is expected to respond to the lawsuit, so we're waiting to hear from them on that, John.
Important issues, and we can't discount the timing as well. Shimon Prokopez in New York. We'll watch this one as it plays out. Thanks so much for us. The president attended his first coronavirus task force meeting since April the other day, and he tweeted some pictures so that you knew he was right there in the thick of it. His first task force meeting in more than 3 months. And we know he sometimes goes weeks or more without talking to his experts, like Dr. Anthony Fauci. Elections are about choices. That's how the old saying goes. So how much attention does Joe Biden give the pandemic?
4 times a week, an hour a day. I just went through an 87-page memo with my team, including Vivek Murthy, who you know, and other docs, former heads of the CDC, that are part of an entire team that I have that we put together and go through it at least 4 times a week.
Bring in our chief political correspondent, Dana Bash. Dana, elections are about choices, and voters can decide what matters most to them. But in the middle of a pandemic, it is striking to hear that the challenger, Joe Biden, who is out of government, who has no authority about the levers of government, spends a whole lot more time on this than the President of the United States.
It really is striking to hear that. And there's so many reasons. Let's just start with one basic. Joe Biden is a creature of government. As vice president for 2 terms, he dealt with obviously nothing as bad as this, but certainly dealt with a lot of crises and understands the importance of getting briefed up and understanding what he doesn't understand. Never mind having to make policy decisions when he was in the Senate for all those decades. Donald Trump comes at this from such a different point of view on so many levels. But the fact that, and I think this is what you're getting at, the fact that Joe Biden, who isn't in charge and doesn't have the responsibility that Donald Trump does, seems to be more engaged than Donald Trump is very telling. Now, we should also say that Mark Meadows, his chief of staff, was on with Wolf yesterday and insists that even though he doesn't go to task force briefings, he's constantly on top of it. You know, maybe he has a different style, but in knowing the basics, like the charts that he puts forward in interviews and the basic information, whether he chooses to ignore the bad things or whether he just doesn't listen to it, we don't know the answer to that.
And so, again, let's dig deeper into it. The big issue many parents around the country are going through right now, we know a little bit about this, is can my kid go back to school? What will it be like? What precautions are the schools taking? Will it be in class? Will it be online? Let's listen to the two of them here, the two candidates for president, one the incumbent, one the challenger, discussing a central issue for parents in America today.
Parents want the schools open. We want them open. We want them open safely. We're going to practice very strong hygiene and all of the other things that I've enumerated many times. But we want to see the schools open.
First, get the cases down in the communities through social distancing, masking, testing, tracing, and PPE. Second, give school districts uniform guidance without political interference on effectively and safely the safety protocols, including ventilation, physical changes in classrooms. And third, give those districts the resources to implement the guidance.
Again, they sound a lot different. The vice president offering more details, the president saying, we're going to practice hygiene, keep them open.
Yes, because this is a president who understands that schools have such a direct correlation to society and the economy opening. I mean, they all are connected, as we've talked about so many times, and the president is desperate to do that. Never mind not really appearing to learn the lesson of what Dr. Fauci has been talking about over the past 24 hours, which is that if you push too soon and push too hard, it's going to make it worse. And, you know, again, just on the raw politics of this, Joe Biden doesn't have the responsibility right now, but he does sound like somebody with more of a plan. He does sound like somebody who can have the empathy for parents and for school districts who want to do what the president is asking them to do. They just don't have the capability of doing it and also keep kids safe and teachers safe and follow the guidelines of the president's own CDC.
I want to shift gears here. You're the chief political correspondent, so that makes you the chief of the Stars Among Stars, who are part of On the Trail, which premieres tonight. It's a documentary, premieres on HBO Max tonight, that is about many of the remarkable women that CNN has out covering this campaign. Let's play a little snippet. We'll talk on the other side.
There is nothing like the rush of covering a presidential campaign.
We are CNN's eyes and ears on the ground. We need to stand by to be ready to go.
For the embeds, you're on a campaign bus, you're at a rally, your life is not your own. We are in the thick of it right now. We get a front row seat to history.
I am your president of law and order.
We thought 2016 was crazy.
It's stressful. I feel like I don't really breathe until the day is over.
You also just feel like you have to say something, because if you're not going to say it, then who is?
What we have is an economic crisis, public health crisis, social crisis.
This moment is unlike any other.
The question of what kind of leader do I want has never been more real than right now.
Why was this project so important? And let me just start before you answer by saying, this is a great place to work in part because of the empowerment of people and the empowerment of reporting, and to see all those remarkable women, and you're the chief of the chiefs, out there covering the campaign trail, as someone who's done it a few times, is pretty cool.
It is very cool. And I want to give a shout out to Katie Hinman, who this is her brainchild, to really highlight and to take people behind the scenes and on the trail to really get a sense of what it's like. There's so many reasons why this is a remarkable film, but I'll just start with one. I mean, John, when you started covering campaigns in 1988, the reporting
Child
area...
prodigy.
the airporting area did not look like it looks like now, right? I mean, it was a lot more men. It was mostly men. There were some women, but it was mostly men. The boys on the bus from before that. And it is different now. Women have a long way to go, but the fact that there is representation, not just in terms of gender, but also in terms of diversity, has matched the very slowly changing, but yet changing diversity of the candidates that we cover. And I think that this documentary really shows that, in addition to how exhilarating and grueling and exhausting and fantastic it is to have that front row seat to history.
Well, it is a great project, and we hope people can watch to get all the perspective Dana just noted, especially to also see some of the people that you don't see on television. There are a lot of people you don't see on television who are out there busting their you-know-whats every day, and they do an amazing job, and so they get some credit in this as well, which is wonderful. Dana Bash, appreciate the insights there, and be sure to watch it On the Trail Inside the 2020 Primaries. Start streaming on HBO Max today. Up next, 1 million+ new applications for unemployment benefits, but still no signs of real progress as Congress considers new help for struggling American workers.
Hand you the bag. Simple. Done. We adapt and we change.
You know, you just figure it out. We've just been finding a way to keep on pushing.
Stay home. Those words have lived in my heart for nearly 20 years. It's a reason why our nurses and caregivers deliver a higher standard of home care. Because if there's one thing we know, it's how much it helps to stay home.
Brushing only reaches 25% of your mouth. Listerine cleans virtually 100%, helping to prevent gum disease and bad breath. Never settle for 25%. Always go for 100. Bring out the bold.
I always thought it was me, that I was the reason all these diets never worked.
This is genuinely not a temporary fix. There's some serious psychology behind it.
It's funny how much smarter I feel like New has made me. It's the simple things. Once I understood why I was making those choices, it was easy for me to change those habits, and weight loss came naturally after that.
I've been on Noom for 4 months now. I've lost 27 pounds, and I feel like I got my life back.
Visit Noom.com and lose the weight for good.
So who climbs ladders to clean their gutters?
Dad, I keep telling you it's dangerous.
Climbing ladders is too dangerous. Leaf Filter puts an end to that.
So how does it work?
Leaf Filter's 3-piece system filters out leaves and debris, letting water flow through freely.
Do we need to replace our gutters?
Great question. Leaf Filter could be installed right on top of your existing gutters. We're sold. Call 833-LEAF-FILTER or go to getleaffilter.com for your free gutter inspection and estimate.
We made USAA insurance for veterans like Liz and Mike, an Army family who's always at the ready. So when they got a little surprise, they didn't panic. They got a bigger car for their soon-to-be bigger family. After shopping around for insurance, they called USAA, who helped find the right coverage for them and even some much-needed savings.
That was the easy part.
USAA insurance has made the way Liz and Mike need it easy. USAA, what you're made of, we're made for.
Walk into an Amazon fulfillment center, it's like walking into the chocolate factory and you want a golden ticket. All of these are face masks. This looks like a bottle of vodka. When we first got these, we were like, whoa! My 3-year-old, when we get a box delivered, screams, Mommy's work.
Mommy, what?
With this pandemic, safety is even more important to make sure we go home safe every single day.
This is America's new gig economy. I'm in Austin, Texas to see how it all works.
I've done the food delivery, rideshare, some catering. It's a million different things all at once.
An all-new episode of United Shades of America with W. Kamau Bell, Sunday at 10.
Thanks for having us this weekend, Mrs. Garcia.
Yeah, thanks, Mom.
Of course, and thank you guys for these gorgeous flowers. So thoughtful. Hey, did you bring the condoms?
What's up?
Condoms.
Condor.
Condor. Why would I say condoms?
Condoms, Charlie. She wants to know if you brought any condoms.
Yeah, I brought some.
Eargo, a virtually invisible hearing loss solution with high-quality sound and lifetime support.
Due to the incredible response, we're extending the introductory price on Eargo Neo Hi-Fi until August 7th. Call or go online now to save $300 on our best hearing loss solution. And if you're an active or retired federal employee, you can now get Eargo at no cost to you. Call or go online today. Eargo, hear life to the fullest.
I'm Nick Payton-Walsh in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and this is CNN.
Closed captioning brought to you by InventHelp. Call 1-800-710-0020.
Do you have an idea for an invention? Call today for free information.
Call 800-710-0020.
Some striking new jobless numbers out today. Another 1.2 million Americans filing for first-time unemployment benefits just last week. That's on top of the 16 million Americans filing for continuing jobless claims. The White House and both parties in Congress say they want to help, but so far there's little progress toward a deal. There is lots of finger-pointing.
I see a light at the end of the tunnel. We just don't know how long the tunnel is. But we have to move quickly, more quickly, because the light at that end of the tunnel may be the freight train of the virus coming at us.
There are a lot of struggling Americans who could tell Speaker Pelosi exactly how long this tunnel has been. And that will continue to be endless unless the Democrats let us provide more relief to the country.
Let's get straight up to our CNN Congressional and How Long is the Tunnel correspondent, Phil Mattingly. It's sometimes funny to watch how they talk, but obviously, given the issues of the moment, another 1.2 million Americans filing for jobless claims, small businesses out there worrying, do I get more? What's going to happen? It's not a laughing matter, even though there is some comedy in the politics sometimes.
Yeah, look, again, some things that you can find funny just because we've been covering these for the last couple of weeks and no clear resolution is in sight, and occasionally lawmakers make jokes, but I think the reality here is the stakes are enormous, right? And I think one of the things that appears to be missing right now in these negotiations is a recognition that something needs to get done now, right? People have not had access to the enhanced federal unemployment benefits now for several weeks, even though it just lapsed last week. Obviously, the eviction moratorium has lapsed as well. The end of the Paycheck Protection Program is just in a couple of days. And I think one of the things that I've been somewhat surprised by is the Senate prepares to go home in a couple of hours. The House rank-and-file lawmakers are already home. Is that it doesn't have that vibe up here of like something needs to get done now. And I think part of the reason why, and the Speaker talked about this today, I think Republicans have spoken about it as well, is there's just a fundamental difference of perspective in terms of what is necessary right now. Democrats want to go big. They want to go bigger than the $2.2 trillion package from earlier in the year. Republicans have made clear they want to go targeted, and they have not figured out a way to bridge that gap. Now, you mentioned the president has talked about if negotiations break down, he will operate unilaterally. This is the Speaker's perspective on that.
I don't think they know what they're talking about. The one thing the president can do is to extend the moratorium. And that would be a good thing if there's money to go with it. And that's what we keep telling them.
Now, John, the unilateral action has mostly been viewed as a leverage play, try and force Democrats to come to the table so the president doesn't do that. But I think the Speaker has a point there which resonates for both parties, and that is unilaterally the president can't do enough to address the issues that are out there right now. That's up to Congress. That's the fiscal action they need to take. How they get to that point, though, still remains an open question. Next meeting, 5 p.m. tonight between the top negotiators. We'll see if they get anything further at this point.
We'll see if that missing urgency that you noted at the top there comes into play at this later meeting. Phil Mattingly, appreciate the latest up on Capitol Hill. Up next for us, the president says he'd like another debate against Joe Biden, and he wants it before those of you who live in states that get to vote early start to mail in your ballots.
As business moves forward, we're all changing the way things get done, like how we redefine collaboration, how we come up with new ways to serve our customers and deliver our products.
This one is cheddar. It's delicious. Oh, you look so healthy.
But no matter how things change, one thing never will. You can rely on the people and the network of AT&T to help keep your business connected.
Sick of annoying spam calls? RoboKiller eliminates 99% of unwanted calls, so you can live your life spam call free. Download RoboKiller today.
These are real people,
not actors, who've got their eczema under control. With less eczema, you can show more skin. So roll up those sleeves and help heal your skin from within with Dupixent. Dupixent is the first treatment of its kind that continuously treats moderate to severe eczema or atopic dermatitis, even between flare-ups. Dupixent is a biologic and not a cream or steroid. Many people taking Dupixent saw clear or almost clear skin and had significantly less itch. Don't use if you're allergic to Dupixent. Serious allergic reactions can occur, including anaphylaxis, which is severe. Tell your doctor about new or worsening eye problems, such as eye pain or vision changes, or a parasitic infection. If you take asthma medicines, don't change or stop them without talking to your doctor. So help heal your skin from within and talk to your eczema specialist about Dupixent. If your financial situation has changed, we may be able to help.
Attention! Do you have Medicare? Did you know that you may qualify to get $135 added back to your Social Security check every month? It's easy to see if you're eligible. Just call the Go Medicare Benefits Help Center at 800-896-1130. In addition to receiving $135 every month, you might also qualify for a $0 Medicare Advantage plan that includes the following benefits: dental, including fillings, exams, and dentures; vision, including exams, frames, lenses, and even contacts; hearing, including hearing aids and batteries; and prescription drug coverage, all at no additional cost. The Go Medicare Benefits Help Center is open now at 800-896-1130. Both the call and the consultation are 100% free with absolutely no obligation to enroll. Call the Go Medicare Benefits Help Center now at 800-896-1130. That's 800-896-1130.
The Quarantine 15. So not happening. Lose up to 18 pounds in your first 2 months. You'll enjoy delicious new meals and probiotic shakes to help support your immunity. Delivered free. Get 50% off a month of meals and shakes.
Stalk presidential candidates for a living.
We are CNN's eyes and ears on the ground.
This moment is unlike any other.
On the trail, inside the 2020 primaries, only on HBO Max.
I would always try and kind of hide my face because you could see my spots.
Stop suffering from melasma with Muesli Face RX. The spot cream is 10 times more potent than over-the-counter and prescription alternatives.
Nothing has worked until Muesli.
Hiring is challenging, especially for a pivotal role.
It definitely felt like we were looking for a needle in a haystack.
So Dylan used ZipRecruiter. He posted his job, ZipRecruiter sent it to over 100 top job sites, and then matched his job with qualified candidates.
We were very impressed with how quickly we had quality candidates apply through ZipRecruiter. It's very important that we choose the right people, and ZipRecruiter's been able to help us do that.
ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/vote.
As you get older, are you worried about staying sharp and alert? Forebrain from the Harvard-educated experts at Force Factor contains key ingredients to help boost memory, learning, clarity, focus, and more. Rush to Walmart and find Forebrain, our #1 brain booster, in the vitamin aisle.
United Shades of America with W. Kamau Bell, Sundays at 10, only on CNN.
Schools that are already back in session now providing lessons to those whose first day of class is, well, still down the road a little bit. And parents are clearly nervous. A new poll out today finds a majority of parents don't feel it is safe to send their children back to school. But if you look deeply at the numbers, there are sharp partisan and racial divides on that safety question. Here's what the nation's 101 largest school districts are doing. 62 are starting the year completely offline. Those 62 districts account for nearly 7 million students. 10 will start with a hybrid plan. 17 are requiring parents to choose all online or all in person. 7 are crafting some unique combination of both. And we're still waiting for New York City, Hillsborough, Florida, Dallas, Greenville, South Carolina, and Boston to finalize their plans. Mississippi's Corinth School District may offer lessons. Just 1 week after reopening, 6 students and 1 teacher have tested positive. More than 100 others have been sent home to quarantine. Joining us now is Mississippi State Superintendent of Education, Carrie Wright. Dr. Wright, thank you so much for being with us. So this was inevitable. You knew this. Your governor knew this. The school district, the local school districts know this. You open schools, you're going to have cases. From this district, have you learned anything about how it happened that helps you in other districts, or is it just, it is what it is?
I think, to be honest with you, it is what it is. This virus is not discriminating on areas of the state or whether you're in a rural area or in a suburban area. And so superintendents have been planning all summer long for contingencies just like this. We've been working with our state health officer, Dr. Dobbs, who's given a lot of guidance to our districts around this. Districts have surveyed parents to see which mode of learning they most want to use, whether that's virtual or a hybrid or in person. And I think almost all of our districts are offering a virtual option so that parents do have a choice about whether to bring their children in person or to keep them at home.
And if you're somebody who just has the position, this is unsafe, you're going to jump on this and say, aha, I told you so. I want you to listen to your governor here because I think he offers an interesting perspective.
Those who want to attack everyone look at that as a negative. I actually look at it as a positive. The system is working whereby we've identified positive cases, we've contact traced those back, and we're trying to protect those kids.
This is uniquely personal to every parent, and I'm sure you get that in your incoming. Some say open the schools, some say how dare you open the schools, and so you're going through this debate. One of the things in this case is this school district has been very transparent about this, and they are not required to be so transparent. Why do you think that that's a plus?
I think it's a plus because the more you can communicate with parents, the more you can assuage their fears. And I think if you try to withhold information, that's only going to make parents more fearful. I'm a big one on being honest and transparent with everybody. So I think that the more we can let the public know what is going on, the better we can learn from best practices around how this is handled. And we've got a lot of school districts that are opening this week. We've got about a third of them opening this week, and we've got about another third of them opening next week. And so everybody is trying to make sure that they are contingency planning. What happens when you do have somebody that comes down? Who gets notified? How's that notification handled? So all of those things have been put in the hands of our superintendents during this past spring so that they can be prepared for that.
And you not only have the eyes of all people in Mississippi at you, because you do open earlier than many states, you're going to have the eyes of the country on you as you go through this. So let me ask you a question as a parent. So you have those 100 students who have been put in quarantine now. That's a safety measure, right? Some people test positive. You put the larger group into quarantine to be extra safe. Those students at home, of the 100, are they all students, or is it students and faculty and people, staff at the school? But of the students, do they get remote learning while they're at home, or are they just in quarantine until they're back into the system?
No, absolutely. And that's one of the reasons that we worked with our legislature this year to pass two pieces of legislation that gave the state the sufficient funds to put a device in every child's hand. And I know that Corinth has already been planning for that. So even when children are at home, the content of what they need to be learning can be loaded onto those devices so that learning can continue. And so thanks to our legislature, every child in the state of Mississippi will have a device that is either Wi-Fi or cellular enabled, and then we've also made sure that they've got the learning management systems that they need in order to load that content on so that children can download that content onto their laptops. So we've been trying to plan for just about everything we can plan for.
Superintendent Carrie Wright, really appreciate your time and your insights. Let's keep in touch as we go through this. Everybody has their political perspective. I just think this is a critical issue, and my job is to air it out, let everybody come on. I really greatly appreciate your time and your transparency as we go through this, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you so much, and thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
No, thank you. Thank you. I'm grateful for you. I want to get now to some breaking news, and CNN's Jeremy Diamond, Republican governor of a very important state, testing positive for coronavirus. Jeremy?
That's right, John, and this is the second time in the last 2 weeks that we have seen the rigorous testing protocols at the White House that President Trump benefits from, keeping him from being in close contact with someone who has tested positive for coronavirus. This morning, it is the Ohio Governor, Mike DeWine. He was scheduled to greet the president on the tarmac in Ohio, where the president has just taken off from Joint Base Andrews to head there today. And DeWine testing positive as part of those White House testing protocols. The governor's office saying that as of now, Governor DeWine is asymptomatic, but obviously those testing protocols catching that positive coronavirus diagnosis. Last week, of course, it was the Texas Congressman Louis Gohmert who was scheduled to be on the plane with the president, as well as a Republican congressional candidate in Texas who was supposed to greet the president on the tarmac. Both of those individuals testing positive. once again, as part of those testing protocols. And it is notable, John, because the president benefits from the most robust testing protocols anywhere in the country, and yet we have heard him time and again suggest that there should be less testing, not more, suggesting that more testing is simply creating these cases that don't otherwise exist. And we should note, of course, John, that most Americans who are returning to work in the way that the president would like to see the country do, they do not benefit from this kind of testing. John?
They do not, and I'll add the footnote that Governor DeWine, politely, very politely, because he's a good Republican, has been among those pushing the White House from the beginning for more PPE, for more testing, and the like. We wish Governor DeWine the best, obviously, here. Jeremy Diamond, appreciate the breaking news there. We'll keep on track of the governor's case and the president's trip to Ohio. Up next, speaking of Ohio, that's a big battleground state, right? The Trump team says it wants to move up the first debate. What does Team Biden think about that?
You try to stay ahead of the mess, but scrubbing still takes time. Now there's Dawn Power Wash Dish Spray. It's the faster way to clean as you go. Just spray, wipe, and rinse. It cleans grease 5 times faster. Dawn Power Wash. Spray, wipe, rinse.
Iron Mike Tyson is back for the ultimate showdown.
Dad, your arm's too big.
Well, I've been working out, son. Shark Week's main event, Tyson versus Jaws, Sunday on Discovery.
My name is April, and I am a caregiver. I've been with Nell now for 2.5 years, and I just feel like I am making a difference in her life. I know how much her family relies on me being there. It's about the bond that we form.
At care.com, you can find the senior care help your family needs. Search from lots of local caregivers with profiles, reviews, and more. It costs less than you think.
At 98 years old, she's enjoying her life.
Find the help you need. Care.com.
Hey there, people eligible for Medicare. Give me 2 minutes, and I'll tell you some important things to know about Medicare. First, it doesn't pay for everything. Say this pizza is your Part B medical expenses. This much, about 80%, Medicare will pay for. What's left, this slice here, well, that's on you. And that's where an AARP Medicare Supplement Insurance Plan, insured by United Healthcare Insurance Company, comes in. This type of plan helps pay some of what Medicare doesn't. And these are the only plans to carry the AARP endorsement. That's because they meet their high standards of quality and service. Want to learn more? It's easy. Call United Healthcare Insurance Company now and ask for this free decision guide. Inside, you'll find the range of AARP Medicare supplement plans and their rates. Apply anytime, too. Oh, speaking of time, about a little over halfway, and there's more to tell. Like how with this type of plan, you'll have the freedom to choose any doctor who accepts Medicare patients. Great for staying with the one you know, or finding somebody new, like a specialist. There are no networks and no referrals needed. None. And when you travel, your plan will go with you, anywhere in the country. So, if you're in another state visiting the grandkids, stay a while, enjoy, and know that you'll still be able to see any doctor who accepts Medicare patients. So call United Healthcare today. They are committed to being there for you. Tick, tick, tick. Time for a wrap-up. A Medicare supplement plan helps pay some of what Medicare doesn't. You know, the pizza slice. It allows you to choose any doctor who accepts Medicare patients. And these are the only plans of their kind endorsed by AARP. Phew! Call United Healthcare today and ask for this free decision guide.
This is a mask. It prevents the spread of coronavirus. This is not a political statement. It's a mask.
So, what's your plan for retirement? You see the world? See the grandkids? Keep doing what you love? However you plan to retire, you need to be prepared. Do you have a financial plan? Do you have a tax strategy? How much of your portfolio can you afford to withdraw? Learn more about these and 96 other retirement topics coming your way in this free guide from Fisher Investments.
Call now for Fisher's 99 retirement tips. Our free guide shows you helpful ways to make your retirement more enjoyable. It's sound advice for a more secure future. Call 1-800-379-5920.
You've worked years for a comfortable retirement. If your portfolio is over $500,000 and you want to make your retirement last, call now.
Get your free copy of 99 Retirement Tips today. Call 1-800-379-5920.
Don't just retire. Retire well.
Spread facts, not fear. Join CNN for a global town hall, live tonight at 8.
Closed captioning brought to you by Christian Faith Publishing. Tell your story and get your book published today.
Are you a Christian author with a book that you're ready to share with the world?
Get published now. Call for your free publisher kit today.
1-800-552-2176.
President Trump today pushing for the first presidential debate to be held earlier, before people start early voting. Mail-in voting does open in some states next month, weeks before the first planned debate. Move up the first debate, you see it right there, is part of a presidential tweet this morning. Trump's team also adding the debate about debates to its attack lines, though some of what you're about to hear, just not true.
As of now, the first presidential debate is not scheduled until September 29th. A full month, guys, after early voting begins. It's because we know Joe Biden's going to stay right down in that basement as long as he can.
Yeah, and remember that his advisors are saying, don't even go to the debate. Just skip the debate. Just think about that. Like, why are you going to go up against Donald J. Trump?
Joining us now to discuss, our senior Washington correspondent, Jeff Zeleny, along with Erin Haynes. She's the editor-at-large for the 19th. Jeff, let me start with you to the point Mercedes Schlapp was making at the end there. Are Biden advisors, is there any serious effort to get him to skip debates? I heard him in an interview the other day saying he's looking forward to it.
John, actually, the Biden campaign is the only of the two campaigns that have agreed to these three debates that have been set forward and have happened every 4 years by the Commission on Presidential Debates. So that simply is not true. The Biden campaign has agreed to those rules. What is most interesting about this is the Trump campaign is showing a couple things. A, they are acknowledging that elections have indeed changed, that early voting is going to be a part of this process. We hear the president railing against that a lot, but it is also a sign that they know that they are not in a strong position here. So this will be something very interesting to watch. I mean, I think it is certainly a legitimate question. Why are the debates so late in the process when people certainly will have voted, but we do not know if things, will change between the end of September going forward. But it is inaccurate to say the Biden campaign does not agree to these debates. In fact, they have. So this is something the Trump campaign is trying to use to, they're trying to shake up this race. They have tried again and again to slow Joe Biden, to try and define Joe Biden. They've struggled to do so. So they think one-on-one on the debate stage may be a way to do that, John.
Process argument. We'll see if it works. Erin Haynes, one of the rare things, today we have something that has been quite rare because we have this coronavirus campaign where the candidates are not out in public as much doing rallies. Today we actually have a same-day back and forth between the candidates. Joe Biden, this part is on tape, the Biden part, but he gave an interview with the National Association of Black Journalists and the National Association of Latino Journalists, at which he said something, and the president responds. Let's listen. Oh, it's not ready yet on that side. I'm sorry about that. That part's not right here. Let's move on to something else he said, then we'll come back to that. In that same interview with the National Association of Black Journalists, we know he's days away from picking his vice presidential candidate, and the subject came up because there have been some people in the Biden campaign, Chris Dodd, a former senator, known to have complained about Kamala Harris's attack on Joe Biden in a debate. Here's his take.
I don't hold grudges, and I've made it really clear that I don't hold grudges. I think it was a debate. It's as simple as that, and she's very much in contention.
One part of that conversation, Aaron, was, is there any worry that this has been so drawn out that it's causing bad blood in the Democratic Party?
Well, yes, John. I think that the people that I talk to, especially a lot of the women who are in politics, who are observers of this sweepstakes process, have been disturbed and frankly offended by the vitriolic tone that the sweepstakes conversation has taken kind of in this home stretch as the vice president gets closer to making a decision. We are hearing a lot of kind of gendered and racist, frankly, comments about the women who are in contention to possibly be, on this ticket and who could make history here headed into November if Joe Biden in that ticket is elected. Conversations around ambition or even pitting, some of the black women candidates in this conversation against each other. And what women, voters and organizers and strategists I'm hearing from are saying is that they are wanting to hear from Joe Biden himself in denouncing this kind of rhetoric, this tone that seems to be reemerging. I mean, we had conversations around electability in the 2020 primary when you saw a historic 6 women standing to be president. Some of the personality criticisms that were lobbed at those women, in the year that we're preparing to celebrate the centennial of suffrage, we're still kind of having these conversations that don't really focus on the qualifications of these talented, capable, and qualified women, one of whom is going to be Joe Biden's running mate, possibly as soon as next week.
By early next week is when we expect it. We'll watch as that plays out. Now let me get back to this back and forth here. This is the Vice President speaking. The interview was taped, I believe, on Thursday of last week. It would have played today at this conference. So let's listen here, and then the President responds.
And by the way, what you all know, but most people don't know, unlike the African-American community, with notable exceptions, the Latino community is an incredibly diverse community with incredibly different attitudes about different things. You go to Florida, you find a very different attitude about immigration in certain places than you do when you're in Arizona. So it's a very different, a very diverse community.
So I just watched the clip, and Joe Biden this morning totally disparaged and insulted the black community. What he said is incredible, and I don't know what's going on with him, but it was a very insulting statement he made.
Aaron, let me start with you. Is it a very insulting? Did Joe Biden disparage and insult the black community? He's trying to make the point, and maybe he didn't make it as articulately as he would have liked, that I believe the point he's trying to make is that most African Americans overwhelmingly support Democrats, and if you travel the country and you go to Florida, for example, you have the Cuban American population, or you might have a Puerto Rican population that has moved to Florida that has a different view than, say, a Latino in Nevada or Arizona. Is it disparaging and insulting what the former Vice President said?
I think that is right, John. That was maybe an inartful, contrast that the vice president was trying to make, and then obviously you saw President Donald Trump seizing on that as he is saying that he is attempting to make inroads with the black community, which is not really did not really support him in 2016, and is not really expected to support him by bigger numbers in 2020, and so. That kind of inartful remark did present kind of an opening for President Trump that did provide kind of a rare real-time exchange and frankly, a little bit of news being made out of the NABJ and NAHJ convention, which started yesterday and is continuing through the week.
And Jeff, to that point, Aaron makes a very good point in that if you look at the polling, the president's support among African Americans is pretty bleak. And we've watched, in the wake of George Floyd and the racial reckoning and the protests across the country, there does not seem to be a lot of opening for the president there, and yet he sees an opportunity. I think much as he saw, he tried to suppress the African American vote in the 2016 campaign. What's different in this campaign is that in at least a handful of states right now, Kanye West is going to be on the battle. And there are a lot of questions about that, about whether that's a serious campaign and whether it is potentially viewed as to give people an alternative who might not want to vote for Joe Biden.
John, there is no question. We've been looking into this, and there are Republican operatives with allies who are close to the president and the Republican Party who have been helping Kanye West get on the ballot. Wisconsin, a prime example earlier this week. Ohio, an example yesterday. Colorado as well. So this is something that the Trump campaign says it has nothing to do with it. But the reality is when you look beneath the layer here, there are Republican operatives helping Kanye West, who's running as an independent in some states. No, Kanye West is not going to be the president of the United States, but his name on a ballot could siphon off some younger African-American voters. That is the worry of some Wisconsin Democratic officials I spoke to yesterday. They believe that the Trump campaign has been trying to peel off some younger black voters, if you will. That is the biggest challenge that Joe Biden has, the campaign has, is, exciting and winning over and reaching out to some younger African-American voters. So they do believe that Kanye West, this is a stunt. He could be playing the role of a spoiler, but the reality here, the race is likely not to be won or lost on this. But if it is close on the margins in some battleground states, it is something that people are keeping an eye on. Roger Stone, of course, has praised Kanye West. Several indications that he, too, has his fingerprints on this. Of course, he says he does not. But, John, you well know, this is Roger Stone has many elections under his belt where he is behind the scenes, underground, doing many things.
Yeah, Roger Stone is often found in a sentence with mischief, the word mischief. Aaron, quickly to close up the conversation, there is this question. Joe Biden has a new ad out today aimed at African-American voters. There is this question not about support in polling, but intensity when it comes to voting.
Yeah, and I think that, this is all part of a larger conversation about, voter enthusiasm that is going to need to drive the kind of turnout that it would take to beat an incumbent president generally, but I think this president in particular. And there was a lot of excitement and enthusiasm among a lot of the Democratic voters that I talked to headed into 2020. And I think, concerns around voter suppression and depression in the middle of a pandemic are why you have Democratic surrogates that I hear from saying that they're really looking to run up the score in November.
All right, appreciate that, Aaron and Jeff. I ran a little bit over. My apologies to Breonna Keeler. She picks up our coverage right now. Have a good day.
I'm Breonna Keeler, and I want to welcome viewers here in the United States and around the world. We begin with breaking news. The governor of Ohio testing positive just hours before he was scheduled to greet President Trump. This was discovered in the rigorous testing system that everyone who comes into contacting with the president has to undergo. I want to go to CNN senior medical correspondent Elizabeth Cohen to talk about this. What do we know here, Elizabeth?
Breonna, what we know is that he was tested, as you said, just like anyone who's going to come in contact with the president or be around the president is tested, and that he was asymptomatic. Apparently, he felt fine, but he was positive for COVID-19. And Breonna, I think this teaches us a great lesson. Can you imagine if there was testing on a much more wide-scale basis, similar to what the president gets? Imagine how many more of these cases that we would find. It could be any of us. The problem with this virus is that so many people are asymptomatic, and so they are walking around spreading this virus without knowing it. We just happened to catch the Ohio governor because he was tested because he was going to be with the president. But imagine how many more people are like that out there.
That's right, because he is just another person who has tested positive after doing these White House tests. And at this point in time, even though it does not appear that it is true for his own White House, writ large, the president is calling testing overrated.
Right. So this is, it's interesting that he's calling it overrated, yet he relies on it really to keep himself uninfected. So it's very odd to me that he thinks something is overrated, but for him it's a good thing. So what he's kind of saying is, it's important for me, but for the rest of you, forget it. That's not a very nice way to approach things. It really doesn't make any sense.
All right, Elizabeth, thank you so much for joining us. The president is once again significantly minimizing the severity of the pandemic, and he's doing it just hours after the nation reported for a second time in a row more than 1,300 deaths from coronavirus in a single day. Let's listen to the president in a radio interview that he gave today.
But looking back on this awful plague that's now killed almost 160,000 Americans, there were some missteps. Don't you wish you had done some things differently?
I think that, first of all, the governors run their states. You understand that. That's the way it's set up. I mean, that's the way it's supposed to be. And whether you call it federalist or anything else, the governors run. We've had some great governors, and we have some governors that didn't do as well. But what I did with ventilators and what I did with getting people equipment, because the governors were not stocked, nobody has ever done a better job. We've done a great job, and we haven't been rewarded with the publicity.
So you don't...
Now, he admits zero mistakes in his administration's handling of the crisis, that despite nearly 160,000 deaths in 5 months, no national testing strategy, no tracing strategy, and the rate of positive tests, hospitalizations, and deaths rising and rising. Instead, he blames governors, and he gives false hope about a vaccine, and pinpoints a specific date on the calendar.
Around November 3rd, are you optimistic that will happen? And will that give you a boost in the election?
On the vaccine? Yeah. I am. I'm optimistic that it'll be probably around that date. I believe we'll have the vaccine before the end of the year, certainly, but around that date, yes, I think so.
November 3rd is the presidential election, and he gives this false hope because even the most optimistic scientists say that's not going to be the case, right? They say it's going to be late this year or early next year when a vaccine is ready and not widely available for many months after that. And just to be clear, that is the best case scenario. It could possibly, there may not even be a vaccine, or it could take even more time. So all of this, as two of his task force doctors warn of more trouble coming from 9 cities and California's Central Valley.
It's referred to as percent positive. It's a clear indication that you are getting an uptick in cases, which inevitably, as we've seen in the southern states, leads to surges, and then you get hospitalizations, and then you get deaths. What Dr. Birx is saying is now is the time to accelerate the fundamental preventive measures. She was warning the states and the cities to be careful because this is a predictor of trouble ahead.
Now, for the states that are already undergoing a surge, new case rates are lower, but they're still high. Florida is now joining California, reaching a grim milestone, each state reporting more than 500,000 total infections. So let's take a deeper dive now on the warning that a surge could be coming for 9 cities and 1 region. I want to bring in CNN's Tom Foreman to talk about this. Tom, just explain further why Dr. Birx is concerned about these areas.
Part of the issue is just the time of year, Brianna. This is a time of year when so many people still want to take some kind of vacation. They still want to see family members, especially now after the fatigue of months of trying to stay apart. You combine that with the fact that she has noted this is truly a pandemic that is stretching across the countryside now. It's not isolated to the cities. The rural areas, the suburban areas, the cities are all linked in this pandemic chain. So if you have spikes in the cities, as we're showing on this map, then you have to worry that those are going to migrate out with people trying to go places, and then it's truly going to affect every place out there. Now, the numbers are looking somewhat better. Look at these maps side by side. If you look at the cases on the left, that map looks pretty good. The number of new cases falling down there, not going as crazy as it has been in the past. Maybe that's a measure of more people taking masking seriously, maybe more people taking precautions. So the new cases are down. Deaths on the right still up, but remember that's a lagging indicator. If we can hold the course moving forward, all indications would be the map on the right in a few weeks might look more like the one on the left. But that's only if they can contain these spikes happening in the cities out there. And again, the overall rate, if you look at the overall trend right now, the trend line has been nudging in the right direction. Nowhere near as low as it was in April, not yet, but at least it's headed that way. The question is, can you contain these spikes that are happening in these cities, not let them spread like wildfire out everywhere, and keep that trend line headed down? That's why she's worried about it, Brianna. You got to make sure that every place this flares up, it's tamped down, or else the wildfire just runs free again.
All right, Tom, thank you for taking us through that. And as the president is pushing for schools to reopen, he is falsely claiming that children are almost immune. We get a reminder today of the actual dangers. Just over a week after schools reopened in Corinth, Mississippi, 6 children and 1 staff member tested positive for the virus. Those positive tests triggered quarantine orders for more than 100 students. Today, Dr. Anthony Fauci said again that it may not be prudent to send kids back to schools in areas with significant viral activity. And while Mississippi cases are surging, the state on track to surpass Florida in new cases per capita, Corinth is actually faring pretty well. And Lee Childress is the superintendent for the Corinth, Mississippi School District, and he's joining us now. Thank you so much for coming on to talk us through this. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me today.
All right, so you're there on the ground, as so many teachers and administrators are, and just give us a sense how quickly you were able to do the contact tracing to identify 116 students who now must quarantine for 2 weeks.
We have been able to quickly accomplish the contact tracing because of the procedures that the district had in place. Our nurses, teachers, and administrators have been able to take the seating charts and information from activities that we've had and conduct that contact tracing in a very expeditious manner.
Okay, and so let's take a look, because as you know, Florida has been one of the hardest hit states. But when we look at a quick comparison here, we can see that in cases where you have per 100,000 residents, Mississippi and Florida are running neck and neck there. And then when you look at deaths, which are per 100,000 residents, Mississippi is actually dealing with greater numbers than Florida. Look, every county is not the same. You're aware of this. Right now, your county is doing better, significantly better than the rest of the state. But what is your plan if that changes?
Absolutely. We do recognize that we are doing better than the state, but it is a serious statewide issue. We know that we proposed a variety of different models that we presented to our community. And if we see an immediate surge or spike here within Corinth and Alcorn County, then we could look at reverting to one or two of the proposed models that we have.
And so what would that be? Would that be more of reverting to a hybrid and or completely virtual? What models would you revert to?
That would be correct. We would have a hybrid model that we could go to some type of AB schedule where 50% of the students would be in attendance each day, or we could go to a completely virtual model, because we have given parents an opportunity to select between a traditional or a virtual model, and we have close to 20% that have selected the virtual model.
And so what really triggers that? You said if you see a spike, so is it the trajectory of student cases? Is it the trajectory of overall cases in your county? What is the threshold, and is there a number of cases that you have in mind?
I think that we would have to take both into consideration. I think that we would have to look at the metrics in terms of the number of cases that we have by individual school and also by the district. And we could look at either making a school level decision to close or a district level decision to close. But at the same time, I think it's very important to look at the community and also to have consultation with your local healthcare officials, because if your hospitals are at capacity, those are things that you have to take into consideration.
And if you can tell us, Lee, how do you navigate this when you are considering it's not just the health of the students, it's also the health of their families as you work through this?
Absolutely. The health of families and the health of staff members is extremely important. And that's why it's very important for a school district to be mindful of what its community numbers are. And that's why we look at our community numbers each day, and we look at what is going on, because we knew that we would see this summer surge when we started school on July the 27th. And I expect that we perhaps will see another summer surge after the Labor Day holiday. So you have to keep that in mind when making decisions and looking at what you're going to do in terms of schools.
All right, Lee Childress, Superintendent, joining us from Corinth, Mississippi. We really appreciate you telling us really your struggle. You're walking this walk as so many, as we said, so many teachers and administrators are trying to figure it out, and we thank you for pulling back the curtain for us.
Thank you for having us.
So one of the biggest success stories right now is actually the NBA's bubble. Could the U.S. replicate these measures? Plus, yet another congressman tests positive. And hear the symptom that inspired him to get tested. And actress Alyssa Milano says she feels like she's dying after she tests positive for antibodies, but negative repeatedly for coronavirus. This is CNN's special live coverage.
Getting back to business relies on giving customers the confidence to walk back through your doors. It's no wonder so many are putting their trust in ServPro, #1 choice for cleanup and restoration. With ServPro, our expert cleaning helps reduce the spread of viral pathogens. This goes way beyond janitorial cleaning, adhering to CDC standards and using proprietary EPA-approved disinfectants. Put the certified ServPro Clean Shield in your window and tell customers you're committed to a higher standard of clean. For a free quote, visit servpro.com.
Sir, I'm a doctor.
You're talking about a first-generation American from the streets of the Imperial Valley who rose to beat the odds. She worked nights and weekends till she earned herself a master's degree. She was running in a marathon when a man behind her collapsed from cardiac arrest, and using her experience saved this man's life. So why do I think there should be more people like Carmen Bravo in this world? Because that man was me.
Look, this isn't my first rodeo. And let me tell you something. I wouldn't be here if I thought reverse mortgages took advantage of any American senior. Or worse, that it was some way to take your home. It's just a loan designed for older homeowners, and it's helped over 1 million Americans. A reverse mortgage loan isn't some kind of trick to take your home. It's a loan, like any other. Big difference is how you pay it back.
Find out how reverse mortgages really work with AAG's free no-obligation reverse mortgage guide. Eliminate monthly mortgage payments, pay bills, medical costs, and more. Call now and get your free info kit. Call 800-647-4586.
Other mortgages are paid each month, but with a reverse mortgage, you can pay whatever you can when it works for you. Or you can wait and pay it off in one lump sum when you leave your home.
Discover the option that's best for you. Call today and find out more in AAG's free no-obligation reverse mortgage loan guide. Access tax-free cash and stay in the home you love.
You've probably been investing in your home for years, making monthly mortgage payments, doing the right thing. And it's become your family's heart and soul. Well, that investment can give you tax-free cash just when you need it.
Learn how homeowners are strategically using a reverse mortgage loan to cover expenses, pay for health care, preserve your portfolio, and so much more.
Look, reverse mortgages aren't for everyone, but I think I've been around long enough to know what's what. I'm proud to be a part of AAG. I trust them. I think you can too.
Trust AAG for the best reverse mortgage solutions. Call 800-647-4586 so you can
retire better.
Wayfair has everything outdoor. From grills to play sets and more one-of-a-kind finds. It all ships free. And with new deals every day, you can explore endless options at every price point. Get your outdoor oasis delivered fast, so you can get the good times going.
Wayfair, you've got just what I need. So we got pregnant with our daughter in 2016. Then we kind of realized that we needed a regular babysitter.
At Care.com, you can find a babysitter or nanny who's just right for you. Join now, Care.com.
Did you just reward yourself for spending a perfectly reasonable amount of time on the couch with tacos from Grubhub? Grubhub's gonna reward you for that with a $5 off perk.
Closed captioning brought to you by Christian Faith Publishing. Tell your story and get your book published today.
Are you a Christian author with a book that you're ready to share with the world?
Get published now. Call for your free publisher kit today.
1-800-552-2176.
Maybe it really is a small world after all when it comes to combating coronavirus, at least. The bubble confining NBA players at Disney World has found great success. After the first week of games, the league announced that for the third consecutive week, 0 players tested positive for COVID-19. Primary care physician, internist, and pediatrician Dr. Pritesh Gandhi is joining us now. So, I mean, this is pretty amazing. The NBA appears to be getting it right. Is there, though, a way to replicate this on a larger scale, Doctor?
Brianna, thanks for having me today. Look, I'm thrilled that the NBA is back. I was a kid that watched the Rockets every day in the 90s, but I'll tell you what, Doc Rivers, the coach of the Clippers, said that they're doing 3 things. They make us wear our masks, they get tested every day, and every day they have to sign into an app where they talk about their vital signs and their temperature. Now, if we could replicate this nationally, we would be able to get ahead of this pandemic. Many of us in public health believe that this is what we need to do to reopen schools safely.
Okay, so masks, I mean, people can do that. The
Sure.
self-screening, right? People can do that. I mean, that is an example of you go to work and you essentially answer a questionnaire, like a short questionnaire about your symptoms or lack of, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, those 2 things are possible. The third one is the toughest one. Can you get tested every day, right? So when we talk about how to reopen schools safely or how to get back to normal activities this fall, one of the key concepts that many public health experts keep on returning to is, can we do rapid testing at scale daily? What's the cost behind that? And can we get that out? And I think the answer is yes, right? We all should be able to wake up in the morning And as many public health docs have said, spit on a piece of paper and know if you're positive or negative, and then go on with your day. It seems like that's far-fetched, but places like the NBA and others, they're able to achieve that. There's no reason why we can't do that nationally.
In some time, it would appear. I mean, right now we're just so far from it, right? There has to be a plan to get the country to that. I do want to ask you, because there's another congressman, Republican Congressman Rodney Davis, who has announced that he has tested positive for coronavirus. But I want you to listen to how he described it.
I take my temp every night and every morning, and I had usually have a temperature around 97 with the thermometer I use. Yesterday, it was 99. Because I had a bunch of public events planned over the next couple of days, I went ahead and went up to a rapid scan testing facility we have in our district, got tested, and surprisingly, I tested positive. And to be honest with you, if I wouldn't have tested yesterday morning, I came home, I was home all day yesterday and tested again last night with the thermometer, and it was 98 degrees.
Okay, so what do you think about that? Because a lot of people, when they're testing themselves, are looking for something over 100. We've had people come on talking about their COVID experiences, saying they had 103, 104. He's talking about a slight uptick from his normal 97-degree body temperature to 99 degrees. What can people take away from this, if anything?
Sure. I mean, I think there are two key things. First is that he was able to go and get rapidly tested. Now, if I'm in Austin and if I want to go and get a same-day test, I can hop into a pharmacy in West Austin and pay $150 cash and get the result. That kind of rapid testing and turnaround time is simply not available or accessible to the overwhelming majority of Americans. And so that's the first thing. The second thing is that, look, he's right. We don't quite understand why many folks don't exhibit certain symptoms of this virus. There are a subset of people who may be overwhelmingly asymptomatic, who perhaps spike a tiny fever, or may not even be febrile to begin with, and have this virus. I think that's what makes this so complicated. And that's also why there is this raging debate on how to reopen and whether to reopen safely or not, and what that looks like. It's because there is a large percentage of asymptomatic Americans walking around, and the only way to get around that is to do rapid testing, because these asymptomatic individuals can still transmit the virus.
It's a very good point. Doctor, thank you for being with us. Dr. Pritesh Gandhi, we appreciate it.
Happy to be here.
Friday or bust, the White House sets a deadline for a stimulus agreement, but talks are getting even messier. Plus, nearly 100 infected with coronavirus after one man attended a church service infected. And Los Angeles cutting off power and water to people who are violating rules, especially rich people having large parties.
Life doesn't give you many second chances. But a Subaru can.
You guys okay? Eyesight with pre-collision braking. Standard on the Subaru Ascent. The 3-row Subaru Ascent. Love. It's what makes a Subaru a Subaru.
Get 0% APR financing for 63 months on select models during the Subaru A Lot to Love event.
When pets were given the choice between cable and sling, they had no idea which one saves them money. You're not an animal. Make the smart choice and switch to Sling. Get the best of cable for the best price.
Forge of Empires. Develop your own city from the Stone Age to the future. Available in the App Store and at FOE.tv. Forge of Empires. Play now.
Remote-controlled blinds. They never get old. Automate your existing window coverings or upgrade to something new with the convenience and cordless safety of the Smart Home Collection from Budget Blinds. Schedule your free in-home or virtual consultation today.
People across America trust Nutrisystem because we deliver your favorite foods made healthier right to your door. Get 50% off a month of meals and probiotic shakes to help support your immunity. Order right now to get 50% off meals and shakes.
You know there's a 30-minute limit, right? Tell that to the Ray.
For those who were born to ride, there's Progressive.
If your dry eye symptoms keep coming back, inflammation in your eye might be to blame.
Looks like a great day for achy, burning eyes.
Over-the-counter eye drops typically work by lubricating your eyes and may provide temporary relief.
Ha! These drops probably won't touch me.
Xiidra works differently, targeting inflammation that can cause dry eye disease.
What is that? Xiidra!
It can provide lasting relief.
Oh.
Xiidra is the only FDA-approved treatment specifically for the signs and symptoms of dry eye disease. 1 drop in each eye, twice a day. Don't use if you're allergic to Xiidra. Common side effects include eye irritation, discomfort, or blurred vision when applied to the eye, and unusual taste sensation. Don't touch container tip to your eye or any surface. After using Xiidra, wait 15 minutes before reinserting contacts.
Got any room in your eye?
Talk to an eye doctor about twice daily Xiidra.
I'd prefer you didn't.
Xiidra. Not today, dry eye.
You can lock
the soul of a man down. Target my goals and I'ma shoot the arrow.
Launches. Free. Bullseye.
I'm a superhero. I still believe.
Just always thought dog food is dog food. Didn't really piece together that dogs eat food. As soon as we brought the farmer's dog in, her skin was better, she was more active, high quality poops. If I can invest in her health and be proactive, I think it's worth it.
Hiring is challenging, especially for a pivotal role.
It definitely felt like we were looking for a needle in a haystack.
So Dylan used ZipRecruiter. He posted his job, ZipRecruiter sent it to over 100 top job sites, and then matched his job with qualified candidates.
We were very impressed with how quickly we had quality candidates apply through ZipRecruiter. It's very important that we choose the right people, and ZipRecruiter's been able to help us do that.
ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/vote.
Guys, are you tired of frequent nighttime bathroom trips? Well, Force Factor Prostate helps reduce urges to urinate, plus fully empty your bladder and promote a normal prostate size. Don't settle. Choose Force Factor Prostate from the #1 fastest growing men's health brand at Walmart.
An all-new episode of United Shades of America with W. Kamau Bell, Sunday at 10.
We have breaking news out of New York. The state is suing to dissolve the National Rifle Association. The announcement stemming from an 18-month investigation that uncovered widespread fraud.
Just a few minutes ago, my office filed a lawsuit against the National Rifle Association to dissolve the organization in its entirety for years of self-dealing and illegal conduct that violate New York's charities law and undermine its own mission.
Our crime and justice correspondent Shimon Prokupez is with us now. Shimon, just walk us through this alleged fraud and tell us how the NRA is responding here.
Yeah, and this is a pretty big deal, Brianna. When you think about the NRA, which has been around since 1871, the Attorney General here, the New York State Attorney General, basically calling for it to no longer exist. She says in her court papers and in a press conference here just a short time ago that there's been widespread fraud throughout the organization. As a non-for-profit, as a charity organization, they have to file documents with the Attorney General here in New York State, which she says they have not done properly. What they have found during their investigation that the leader of the NRA, Wayne LaPierre, used millions and millions of dollars, she said, as a way to line his own pockets. He used it on travel, personal expenses for travel and meals. creating this slush fund at the NRA to line his own pockets. She also talked about how friends of the leader of the group were given lucrative positions, were given contracts. She went on to say that they didn't properly file documents, tax documents, so there is some concern about IRS violations. She's going to be sending information to the IRS. She also just described that how for years this organization just did not file documents, just continued on fraud, and that is why they started their investigation and they started looking into the group. The thing, and one of the questions is criminal charges. She says, the Attorney General, it's not for her to bring criminal charges, but it is something that she can ultimately recommend to someone like the Manhattan District Attorney. The NRA, just a short time ago, released a statement, and let me go ahead and read that to you. They're calling it a baseless sort of vendetta, a baseless political attack, premeditated attack on our organization. And the Second Amendment. They say that this is all tied to the 2020 election cycle, that this is a political vendetta, and of course they're going to fight this. They're going to fight this for their members, and they're going to file their answer in court, so we should be seeing that shortly, Brianna.
All right, Shimon, thank you for following that for us. We will check in with you as things develop here. Friday or bust, that is the deadline that the White House has self-imposed for an agreement on coronavirus relief funds. And while Congress is fighting, millions of Americans are left to survive on less than half of the assistance they received for the last 4 months. I want to go to our White House correspondent, Jeremy Diamond, who is following these talks. I mean, is it a possibility that there is no deal?
Look, we have heard both sides so far talk about being trillions of dollars apart, and a deal certainly doesn't seem in sight. And now the latest from the White House is they're saying, essentially, if they are not close to a deal by tomorrow, the president will act unilaterally. We heard the president just moments ago talking on the tarmac at Joint Base Andrews before leaving for Ohio. He said that he could sign executive orders as early as tomorrow or possibly on Saturday, essentially to extend those enhanced unemployment benefits as well as that eviction moratorium. It's not clear exactly what legal authority the president has to actually do that, but listen to the White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows talking about that very idea just yesterday.
By Friday, if we haven't made significant progress and we're just too far apart, the president is prepared to take executive action. And on those two items that you're talking about, making sure that eviction protection is done, he will do that through executive action. Making sure that those enhanced unemployment payments that stopped because Democrats refused to say yes just a few days ago.
Now, the White House Chief of Staff, Mark Meadows there, he also said yesterday that the White House Office of the Legal Counsel is looking at options of these executive orders. But I reached out just a few minutes before coming on air here, Brianna, and the White House so far is not outlining exactly what mechanism or what authority the president actually has to get this done unilaterally without Congress. As for the Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, he has the Senate was expected to adjourn today. He has said that the Senate will stay in session until there is either a deal or until it is clear that a deal is not possible. But certainly these next 24 hours are going to be crucial, Brianna, as we wait to see whether a deal can be achieved and how and whether the White House will act on its own.
All right, Jeremy, thank you for the update. There is some disturbing video of a woman who is attacked inside a Staples store in a dispute over masks. Also, actress Alyssa Milano saying that she feels like she's dying after she tests positive for antibodies but negative repeatedly for coronavirus. And a significant turn in the investigation of the president's company after his bank cooperates with a subpoena. We'll have that ahead.
My name is April, and I am a caregiver. I've been with Nell now for 2.5 years, and I just feel like I am making a difference in her life. I know how much her family relies on me being there. It's about the bond that we form.
At care.com, you can find the senior care help your family needs. Search from lots of local caregivers with profiles, reviews, and more. It costs less than you think.
At 98 years old, she's enjoying her life.
Find the help you need. Care.com.
What if people with type 1 diabetes had the power to manage their condition without finger sticks? to always know their glucose levels and where they're heading with just a glance at their smart device. The power to make treatment decisions, to customize alerts and alarms to help keep them in range. The power to lower their A1C. All this knowledge, powered by a small wearable. The Dexcom G6.
Have you been walking past my home?
He was a puppet master.
The streets are telling me.
I was definitely under Charlie's spell. We wanted to be not only like Charlie, we wanted to be Charlie.
Manson was a con man. He ruined everyone around him.
Are you crazy enough to go out and kill cigarettes?
Hi, I'm Caleb, and this is my story. I was born with osteogenesis imperfecta or brittle bone disease. I have broken my bones almost 200 times, and I have had 11 surgeries. But I didn't let that stop me. I love to bike ride, climb, race, and I'm learning how to stand and walk. But I can only do all of this because of generous people like you and Shriners Hospitals for Children.
Because of people like you, Shriners Hospitals for Children has helped more than 1.3 million kids just like me, regardless of their family's ability to pay.
Shriners Hospitals for Children is only able to provide this world-class, life-changing medical care because of the generous gifts of people just like you.
Because of you, I can ride my bike. I can play basketball.
Because of people like you, I can run.
I can smile.
Will you send your love to the rescue today?
When you go to LoveshShriners.org right now and give just 63 cents a day, you're helping kids just like me.
Like me. Like me.
When you give today, we'll send you this adorable Love to the Rescue blanket as a thank you and a reminder of the love you gave to a kid just like me.
Your gift, no matter how small, can help a child today.
This is your moment to make a difference.
When you pick up your phone, I know you have it right there, and call to give. You're helping kids like me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Please call or go online now. If operators are busy, please call again or give right away at LoveshShriners.org.
Your gift makes a difference. Thank you for giving.
When you only got a few hours of sleep last night. When you need something fresh after a long commute. When your day is just non-stop, or just a coffee won't cut it. When you just need a second for yourself to unplug and be in the moment. With Daily Harvest, you can have delicious, clean food that's ready when you are, no matter what your day holds. Daily Harvest. We take care of food so that food can take care of you. Go to dailyharvest.com and get started today.
When you've got 10 to 12 teeth missing, it's a terrible feeling.
For years, I would dream of a place where I could go and one day come out and have all my teeth. Clear Choice put together a personalized plan. They've got a lab there. Everything gets done in the lab. And I've got the best smile I could ever ask for. Don't put it off because it doesn't have to be that way.
Closed captioning brought to you by Mesobook.com.
Mesothelioma, it's all we do. With 9 offices across the country, let us come meet with you. Call us at 1-800-213-8000.
The latest example of violence stemming from the war on masks, this one coming from video surveillance at a Staples store in New Jersey. A woman has been charged with aggravated assault after attacking another woman who allegedly asked her to properly wear a face mask. Now let's check in with our CNN reporters for the biggest headlines across the country.
I'm Allison Cossack in New York. It's not your imagination. The cost of groceries has gone higher since the pandemic hit. Data from the Bureau of Economic Analysis finds beef and veal had the biggest jump, followed by eggs, poultry, and pork. Federal Reserve Chief Jay Powell last week acknowledged the issue, saying for some goods, including food, Supply constraints have led to notably higher prices. Now, the higher food prices, though, are adding to the burden for those struggling with lost income, plus the loss of the extra $600 unemployment benefit.
I'm Alexandra Field in New York. A COVID-19 outbreak in the state of Ohio is being linked to a church service. 91 people became infected. 53 of them had been at the church service with a 56-year-old man who tested positive for COVID. Ohio's Governor Mike DeWine is again stressing the importance of wearing masks at religious services. The governor has ordered masks for people across the state of Ohio ages 10 and up. He has also ordered masks for children in schools with just some exceptions. The state of Ohio has now had more than 96,000 COVID-19 cases.
I'm Stephanie Elam in Los Angeles. Mayor Eric Garcetti says he's ready to take action against businesses and homes that continue to ignore the health guidelines to stop the spread of the coronavirus. He says he's authorized the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power to begin cutting services to repeat offenders beginning Friday evening. This, as the health department is saying, that younger people are driving the virus here. Looking at the statistics of the new cases that they've announced, they're saying 76% of those new cases belong to people under the age of 50, 54% belong to people 30 and younger.
I'm Chloe Malas in New York. Actress Alyssa Milano says that she has tested positive for COVID-19 antibodies after being sick for nearly 4 months. She says she is speaking out now to call attention to the testing system that she says is, quote, flawed. Milano says that she became ill at the end of March but tested negative for the virus despite having, quote, every COVID symptom. She says in an Instagram post alongside a photo of her using a breathing machine that, quote, everything hurt, loss of smell, it felt like an elephant was sitting on my chest. Adding, this illness is not a hoax. I thought I was dying. She also says the symptoms still linger, like vertigo and heart palpitations.
All right, everyone, thank you so much for that. A new global town hall on the mask debate and the push to reopen schools months in. Join Anderson Cooper and Dr. Sanjay Gupta for Coronavirus Facts and Fears Live. That will be tonight at 8 p.m. Deutsche Bank just gave up President Trump's financial records to New York prosecutors, but what are the chances that they'll be made public? And I'll talk to a former school nurse in Georgia who was so scared of passing on the virus or catching it from students that she quit.
Come on in, we're open.
Open up that door and I'll walk right in my house.
All we do is hand you the bag. Simple, done. We adapt and we change.
You know, you just figure it out.
We've just been finding a way to keep on pushing.
Here's your chance to learn at home and create a rewarding career. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation right now. You could start your new life as an IT pro in months. Classes meet live online just twice a week. It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
All right, I brought in Ensure Max Protein.
To give you the protein you need, with less of the sugar you don't. I'll take that.
30 grams of protein and 1 gram of sugar. Ensure Max Protein with nutrients to support immune health.
Sick of annoying spam calls? RoboKiller eliminates 99% of unwanted calls. And our answer bots have fun blocking your robocalls.
There's a shark circling my boat. Hang on.
You gotta hit him in the nose. Yes.
I'm almost done. I'm sorry. Just give me 2 seconds. I gotta.
So you can live your life spam call free. Download RoboKiller today.
When we started Carvana, they told us that selling cars 100% online wouldn't work. But we went to work, building an experience that lets you shop over 17,000 cars from home, creating a coast-to-coast network to deliver your car as soon as tomorrow, recruiting an army of customer advocates to make your experience incredible, and putting you in control of the whole thing with powerful technology. That's why we've become the nation's fastest-growing retailer, because our customers love it. See for yourself at Carvana.com.
When you shop with Wayfair, you spend less and get way more. So you can bring your vision to life and save in more ways than one. small prices, you can build big dreams. Spend less, get way more. Shop everything home at Wayfair today.
People across America trust Nutrisystem because we deliver your favorite foods made healthier right to your door. Get 50% off a month of meals and probiotic shakes to help support your immunity. Order right now to get 50% off meals and shakes.
I like Liberty Mutual. They get that no two people are alike. And customize your car insurance so you only pay for what you need. What do you think?
I don't see it. Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
A new CNN Global Town Hall. The masked debate. The push to reopen schools. Months into the pandemic, you still have questions. Join Anderson Cooper and Dr. Sanjay Gupta for Coronavirus, Facts and Fears. Live tonight at 8.
Blunders. They're how we learn. But investment blunders are a costly lesson that can hurt your retirement. Decisions like trying to time the market, placing big bets on a single stock, or letting politics and elections influence your investments. Fisher Investments has gathered the 13 worst blunders and how to avoid them in this eye-opening free guide.
Why take a chance? Let Fisher Investments send you our free guide, 13 retirement investment blunders to avoid, like running short of money in retirement, or working with a money manager who's not a fiduciary. Call now, 1-800-280-9933.
Fisher Investments has helped thousands avoid costly blunders and achieve a comfortable retirement. If you have $500,000 or more to invest, call now.
Call Fisher Investments now for your free guide, 1-800-280-9933.
Don't just retire. Retire well.
I'm Randy Kay in Palm Beach County, Florida, and this is CNN.
In a remarkable turn of events, the New York prosecutors who are investigating President Trump's business practices are now subpoenaing his longtime lender, Deutsche Bank, and the bank is cooperating. All of this, according to the New York Times. The takeaway from this report is that the criminal inquiry into Trump's finances, it actually spans far deeper than previously known. I want to bring in David K. Johnston. He is an investigative reporter and author of The Making of Donald Trump. David, thank you for being with us. And, you know, initially, this investigation centered around those hush money payments that were made during the 2016 election to an adult film star and director. But in the Times piece, it reads, quote, in a court filing this week, prosecutors with the district attorney's office cited public reports of possible extensive and protracted criminal conduct at the Trump organization and suggested that they were also investigating possible crimes involving bank and insurance fraud. Tell us why that's significant.
Well, prosecutors already have the basic tax information on Donald Trump. In New York State, your state tax return is virtually identical to your federal return, and the IRS shares tax information with the state. What they don't have are the business records of the Trump organization, the accounting records that they've been fighting for from Mazars USA, Trump's accounting firm, including drafts of tax returns and instructions by Trump, and the banking records. Once they have all of those records and can present them to a grand jury, I would anticipate you'll see Donald Trump indicted.
And so where would it go from there?
Well, once the grand jury hands up an indictment, there will be a specification of charges. So we won't actually see, for example, the banking records. But the indictment will contain specific information. It's alleged that the defendant did the following act on the following date or time period. And so we'll see some outline of what's involved. The next thing we're most likely to see is something leaked from the defense. In all my years, 50 years of doing this, I've never had a prosecutor leak in a prosecution, but defense lawyers and secondary parties leak all the time, particularly if there's a very bad piece of news they want to get out and get covered and then forgotten about.
That's very interesting. I want to turn to Twitter and Facebook. Both social media giants have penalized the president. They penalized his team yesterday after his campaign posted videos that contained misinformation about the pandemic. But I guess the question is, what kind of constitutes going too far these days? And I wonder what you think as you look at all of this and you try to make sense of where the lines are and if they're consistent.
Yeah, I'm from the general school that the solution to bad speech is more speech. And William O. Douglas's observation in the 1950s about laws against people being communists, that who are they? They're beggars of unwanted goods in the streets. But putting a flag on things by Twitter or Facebook saying, you know, this tweet is factually false seems to me a much better solution than blocking things or taking them down.
All right, David, thank you so much. I really appreciate you joining us. David K. Johnson.
Thank you, Brianna.
And former First Lady Michelle Obama opening up about how the Trump administration, in part, has caused her to suffer low-grade depression, she says. Plus, the concern from Dr. Fauci that has prompted the White House Coronavirus Task Force to take a closer look at how air droplets spread the virus.
Hello, and welcome to the biggest auto protection show on earth, brought to you by CarShield. I'm your host, Chris Berman. If your car is out of warranty or close to expiring, CarShield makes sure you don't have to pay for expensive auto repairs. That's why I'm a customer. Let's catch up with the action, where happy customers have saved thousands on car repairs.
The first 3 months, we saved $4,100.
CarShield saved me over $6,000 in engine repairs.
Those repair bills never had a chance. Look at those Hall of Fame dance moves. Saving money on expensive car repairs with CarShield will do that to you.
It's like having a suit of armor around my car.
I never have to worry about being taken advantage of when it comes to car repairs.
We're just happy with CarShield. They put a transmission in it and a motor. Who does that?
When your car's check engine light comes on, that could spell big trouble for you and your wallet. An engine, transmission, or computer system breakdown could cost you thousands of dollars. But with CarShield, you'll never pay on covered repairs. CarShield covers practically all makes and all models, new or used.
When it comes to protecting you from expensive repairs, there's a new sheriff in town. CarShield is rumbling and tumbling all over that repair bill. Goodbye expensive car repairs and hello savings. This guy just scored the CarShield hat trick. That's towing, roadside assistance, and rental coverage at no extra cost. That's what I call MVP protection. Don't get stuck paying for those expensive repairs. Call CarShield and tell them the Swami sent you.
Now it's the time to make the smart choice and protect yourself from sky-high auto repair bills. Call now for a free and instant protection plan quote. It's only a matter of time until repairs are needed. And once your car breaks down, it's too late. Call 800-969-1373. 800-969-1373.
Hi, Joe Namath here, and like you, I'm at home staying safe, but I wanted to get this message out. To make these uncertain times a bit easier and safer while at home, Medicare Advantage plans have added new benefits, including telephone appointments with your doctors, in-home aids, home-delivered meals, home-delivered prescriptions, and so much more. But you don't get all the benefits automatically. You need to enroll. The easiest way to enroll is to call the Medicare Coverage Helpline. It's now more important than ever to make sure your Medicare coverage is up to date. We all have a few minutes to make a phone call to focus on our health. Get what you're entitled to. Call now. It's free.
Call 1-800-516-0600. That's 1-800-516-0600 now.
Go to school, get a job, get a second job, a third, a fourth. This is America's new gig economy. I'm in Austin, Texas to see how it all works and how it doesn't. How many hours a week are you doing the gig stuff? Constant. Just a hustle. When are you sleeping again?
Like so high.
On an average day, you're sleeping 2 hours?
The basic struggle of our time is about whether we can have a system where everyone can do well.
An all-new episode of United Shades of America with W. Kamau Bell, Sunday at 10.
I would always try and kind of hide my face because you could see my spots.
Stop suffering from melasma with Muesli Face RX. The spot cream is 10 times more potent than over-the-counter and prescription alternatives.
Nothing has worked until Muesli.
As you get older, are you worried about staying sharp and alert? Forebrain from the Harvard-educated experts at Force Factor contains key ingredients to help boost memory, learning, clarity, focus, and more. Rush to Walmart and find Forebrain, our #1 brain booster, in the vitamin aisle.
Selling a home is hard, stressful,
and can cost thousands, even in the best of times. But today, the best real estate agent matters more than ever. A HomeLight MoveSafe certified agent sells homes faster for more money and is committed to keeping you and your family safe. From providing things like virtual showings to digital closings and following the most current health guidelines. Is your real estate agent MoveSafe certified? Find out today at HomeLight.com.
Coronavirus. Get daily news updates. Sign up for the CNN newsletter.
Former First Lady Michelle Obama said on her podcast Wednesday that she is suffering from low-grade depression, and she singled out what she called the Trump administration's hypocrisy as being partly to blame.
These are not, they are not fulfilling times spiritually, you know. So I know that I am dealing with some form of low-grade depression. Not just because of the quarantine, but because of the racial strife and just seeing this administration, watching the hypocrisy of it day in and day out is dispiriting.
I want to discuss this with CNN's Abby Phillip. And I mean, Abby, I think this is so important to listen to it because you can also hear her tone of voice. She is being blunt, and it is rare to hear a First Lady be so blunt like this. What inspired her to share this?
This is all part of Michelle Obama's coming out in the post-presidency where she's taking control of her own narrative. And Brianna, what we see in this conversation is Michelle Obama sitting down with Michelle Norris, who is one of her closest friends, and they're really getting candid about how they are coping with the pandemic. And she talks about how she has had at certain points stopped being able to go to the gym to work out. And that was sort of the moment where Michelle Norris, Eve said to her, wow, you haven't been going to the gym, because as we all know, Michelle Obama is known for her physical fitness. When she was in the White House, was a regular in the gym. And she said, yeah, this is part of how it's been a struggle for me to deal with the racial injustice, to deal with the pandemic, the physical isolation of it all, and the weight of all of these things happening. So they get very candid on all of these different issues, and you can hear it in her voice, the way in which it is, as she said, it has been difficult, but she said that there have been times when she's had to sort of allow herself to have a week where things are not normal, and she sort of gives into it and be forgiving of herself for that. I think it's something that perhaps all of us during this pandemic can identify with.
Yeah, that week where you kind of phone it in. I think we're all aware of that kind of week, right?
For some of us, it's more than a week.
I don't know who you're talking about, Abby. Right. Okay, but also, you know, when you listen to this podcast, I think it also goes to the point of just how personal the Obamas must be taking the Trump presidency, right? Especially, I mean, look, long before President Trump was ever a candidate, he was questioning whether President Obama was American. So you kind of get a sense of just how personal this is for the former First Lady.
No question about it. There are not that many times when we've seen Michelle Obama candidly critique the Trump administration. The other time was in her book, talking about how she would, quote, never forgive President Trump for putting her family in danger by peddling the racist birther conspiracy theory. And here again, you hear her talking about the hypocrisy of the administration, her frustration with its handling of the pandemic, but also her frustration with how the administration has and has not responded to the protests in the wake of George Floyd's killing. This is Michelle Obama being willing to say, and I think we've actually also heard President Obama being way more outspoken in the last few months about what they're seeing happening in the country and how they're really dissatisfied with it. It's not something you often hear her do, because I think she's been pretty circumspect in when she speaks out about her disagreements with this administration.
Abby, it is great to see you. I would never know that you, of all people, phone anything in, so it gives me comfort that you say, that you indicate that maybe you do a little bit.
Absolutely. Sometimes I haven't seen the gym in more than a week, let's put it that way. So.
Abby Phillip, amen. Thank you so much. Hi there, I'm Brianna Keeler. It is the top of the hour, and we are starting with some breaking news out of Ohio. The president arrived in Cleveland moments ago, and he was supposed to be greeted by Ohio's governor, but that did not happen because Governor Mike DeWine tested positive for the coronavirus.
Governor of Ohio, DeWine, just tested positive just here, and we want to wish him the best. He'll be fine. I guess he's going for a secondary test. I just said I look forward to seeing the governor. They said, sir, he just tested positive.
So a president who says that testing is overrated, that maybe the U.S. tests too much, is now, it appears, saved from possible infection by one of those same tests. CNN's Ryan Nobles is in Clyde, Ohio. Ryan, tell us, what more do we know?
Well, Brianna, this certainly came as a surprise. This is something that is done for anyone that comes in close contact with the President of the United States. They're given one of these rapid COVID tests to make sure that they don't have the infection before they come in close contact with the President. And Governor DeWine was among a group of dignitaries from Ohio that were scheduled to meet the President on the tarmac in Cleveland, and his test came back positive. So he immediately went back to his home in Cedarville, Ohio. He said he's going to quarantine for 14 days. And as President Trump mentioned, he is going to get a secondary test to determine whether or not this test was indeed a true positive. Now, Brianna, this comes at a time where Ohio was one of the states that was one of the most aggressive when it came to combating the coronavirus crisis. Mike DeWine, very much a practical tactician when it comes to things like this, and was one of the governors that truly followed the science in making decisions about shutting down many of the various businesses and forcing people to socially distance and things along those lines. And I should point out, this event that's about to take place here in Clyde, Ohio, this is at the Whirlpool factory about an hour from Cleveland. And you can see that they are taking very strict precautions to protect people at this particular event. Every single one of us before we came in was given a temperature check. We had to answer a series of questions about our potential exposure to the coronavirus. Also, everyone must have a mask on the entire time. And as you can see behind me, they do have chairs that are purposely socially distant to keep people away from each other. And Brianna, we should also point out that one of the president's most ardent supporters, Jim Jordan of Ohio, the congressman from Ohio, he is here in the crowd, and he is among those wearing a mask. So you can see this is something that the administration is apparently taking much more seriously than they have over the past few months. And the president's set to speak here now in just a couple of hours. Brianna?
All right, Ryan, thank you so much. I will say I do see some people talking to each other with masks on, but very closely behind you. I think some people think it's either or, social distancing or masks, but really both is safest. Ryan, thank you so much. The president is once again minimizing the severity of the pandemic, and he's doing it just hours after the nation reported for a second time in a row more than 1,300 deaths from coronavirus in a single day. Listen to the president in this radio interview that he gave today.
But looking back on this awful plague that's now killed almost 160,000 Americans, there were some missteps. Don't you wish you had done some things differently?
I think that, first of all, the governors run their states. You understand that. That's the way it's set up. I mean, that's the way it's supposed to be. And whether you call it federalist or anything else, the governors run. We've had some great governors, and we have some governors that didn't do as well. But what I did with ventilators and what I did with getting people equipment, because the governors were not stocked, nobody has ever done a better job. We've done a great job, and we haven't been rewarded with the publicity.
So you don't admit?
Now, the president admits no mistakes in his administration's handling of the crisis, that despite nearly 160,000 deaths in 5 months, no national testing strategy, no tracing strategy, and the rate of positive tests, hospitalizations, deaths rising and rising. Instead, he is blaming governors, and he is giving false hope about a vaccine and specifically pinpointing a certain date on the calendar.
Around November 3rd, are you optimistic that will happen? And will that give you a boost in the election?
On the vaccine? Yeah. I am. I'm optimistic that it'll be probably around that date. I believe we'll have the vaccine before the end of the year, certainly, but around that date, yes, I think so.
Now, November 3rd is, of course, the election, and the president is giving this false hope because even the most optimistic scientists say it's going to be late this year or early next year when a vaccine is ready, and even then not widely available for many months after that. And all of that, that is the best case scenario, right? The best case scenario. And all of this, as two of his task force doctors warn of more troubles coming for 9 cities and California's Central Valley. Many school districts are opting to keep their kids home for school this year because of the pandemic. CNN has tallied at least 7 million American students are beginning their classes online. I want to bring in CNN's Bianna Golodriga. And Bianna, just break this down for us because, where is this happening? Is it big cities that are primarily making this choice?
Brianna, it's really all over, and it's interesting because you have the president calling for schools to be open, but the reality, the picture in this country right now is showing that millions of kids will just not be going back to school. Now let's take a look at the numbers right now. Of the 101 largest school districts in the country, 62 are starting online. As you mentioned, that's 7 million students. 12 are starting with the hybrid model, and 17 are starting with either all online or in person, and 4 have yet to finalize a plan. Now, for a more narrow picture, let's take a look at the 25 largest school districts. All but 5 have announced that they're going to be starting remotely. You heard the news out of Chicago this week. We're still waiting to hear a definitive plan out of New York City, and it has to deal with
Oh no, I think we have lost Bianna's signal there. All right, we're going to try to check back in with her. But in the meantime, the CDC has issued some guidance on safety in schools. They, quote, have an important role in slowing the spread of diseases to help ensure students have safe and healthy learning environments. An important role that some schools seem perhaps to not quite understand. Just take a look at this picture. This is a school hallway in Paulding County, Georgia, where kids are starting to go back to school this week. In that massive crowd, how many masks do you see? We were able to take a look at that without some of the faces fuzzed out there, and I think there were about 4. It's not supposed to be a Where's Waldo type of game, right? You're supposed to see all of these masks. Amy Westmoreland is a school nurse in Paulding County, Georgia, who actually resigned over her coronavirus fears. Amy, thank you for being with us. What did you think when you saw that picture in this county where you worked?
You're welcome. Thank you so much, Brianna, for having me on your program today.
And yes, of course, thank you for coming on. I wonder when you saw that photo, because you'd actually decided some time ago, or prior to this photo coming out, that this was the decision you needed to make for your health and out of concerns for the health of others. When you saw this photo, how did that, I guess, make you think about the decision that you had made to no longer be a nurse?
Well, certainly I was horrified. It did give me some sense of validation, knowing that I made the right decision. But of course, my primary focus, since I am in pediatrics, is the children. And so, of course, I was worried for them and also their families and the staff members at the school. But I still remain a nurse, whether or not I'm in the clinic or not.
Okay, so you're still a nurse, whether you're in the clinic or not. Just tell us, even before this photo, when you decided, I'm not going back. Tell us what that decision was like. How did you make that decision?
Well, it was a culmination of things. It started when we were allowed to go back into our clinics to finish up the school year. And I walked in the building, and unfortunately there were many people without masks on, and they were not practicing social distancing. And unfortunately, it's very politically and financially motivated in that district. And so I was concerned that that might be the case once I got there. So it initially started with that, and then the board's decision to make masks a, quote, personal choice, and that social distancing wouldn't be practical. I didn't feel that, contrary to popular belief, I was not only concerned for myself and my family, but I could not imagine giving care, especially to my special needs community of students, with the possibility of infecting them.
Yeah, because that's the realization, right? It's how would you feel if you were to infect someone, and even if they're all right, but then someone they infect is not all right. I've thought about that myself. I think a lot of people have thought about that themselves as well.
Absolutely.
How have you been talking to any of your former colleagues? What are they saying?
I haven't much. I have heard from a couple of people, even people that I've never met that work for the county, and the majority of them have been, actually all of them have been very positive and encouraging. Of course, some of them want to stay anonymous, and I totally respect that. But I'm just, I'm proud of the students who have spoken out, and I'm just really overwhelmed by their courage to speak out.
What do you want to see for them? What do they need? What do your former colleagues need to stay safe?
Well, I'd like to see them be in a safe and healthy learning environment. That was my job as a school nurse. That is my job as a nurse in general. Unfortunately, I don't see that happening given the circumstances. And I think a large portion of that comes from our government. We don't have the support of our current governor, Governor Kemp, and we do not have the support of even our own president. But Mayor Bottoms has been a huge support to her community, and it's very admirable.
Well, Amy, we really want to thank you for coming on. Amy Westmoreland.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your platform. I appreciate you.
Of course. No, we appreciate you bringing your voice on to tell people about what's been going on. A professor asks Dr. Fauci about the spread of the virus through the air, and it prompted Fauci to make a promise. So what was that? We'll tell you next. Plus, the governor of Florida floating the possibility of allowing visitors into nursing homes. But is he playing with fire here? And shock turns to anger as dozens die or remain missing after the explosion in Beirut. We will speak with the bride in this remarkable video.
If you have moderate to severe psoriasis or psoriatic arthritis, little things can become your big moment. That's why there's Otezla. Otezla is not an injection or a cream. It's a pill that treats differently. For psoriasis, 75% clearer skin is achievable with reduced redness, thickness, and scaliness of plaques. For psoriatic arthritis, Otezla is proven to reduce joint swelling, tenderness, and pain, and the Otezla prescribing information has no requirement for routine lab monitoring. Don't use if you're allergic to Otezla. It may cause severe diarrhea, nausea, or vomiting. Otezla is associated with an increased risk of depression. Tell your doctor if you have a history of depression or suicidal thoughts, or if these feelings develop. Some people taking Otezla reported weight loss. Your doctor should monitor your weight and may stop treatment. Upper respiratory tract infection and headache may occur. Tell your doctor about your medicines and if you're pregnant or planning to be. Otezla, show more of you.
The die-hard batteries you know and trust are now at Advance. Unrivaled performance meets unrivaled expertise. Die-hard batteries, now at Advance Auto Parts.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see.
They're just kids. Hungry, homeless, and vulnerable. Abused kids often feel safer on the street. Now, more than ever, that's the most dangerous place of all. Covenant House is rescuing and protecting kids during this COVID-19 crisis. We're providing safe shelter to thousands, but the need is overwhelming, and no child is ever turned away. Please call or go online now with your gift of $19 a month to help a homeless child. You'll provide safe shelter, hot meals, and medical care. Your gift will show our kids they're loved. Homeless kids are afraid and alone, with nowhere else to turn.
You want to know that there's somewhere you can go that's safe. So the Covenant House did that for us.
Please call now. With your gift of $19 a month, we'll send you this soft, comforting blanket to show you're helping our kids. Please don't wait. In our national crisis, your gift is the lifeline a child needs. Please call or go online to showthemoukare.org now. Thank you for saving precious lives.
People across America trust Nutrisystem because we deliver your favorite foods made healthier right to your door. Get 50% off a month of meals and probiotic shakes to help support your immunity. Order right now to get 50% off meals and shakes.
So who climbs ladders to clean their gutters?
Dad, I keep telling you it's dangerous.
Climbing ladders is too dangerous. Leaf Filter puts an end to that.
So how does it work?
Leaf Filter's three-piece system filters out leaves and debris, letting water flow through freely.
Do we need to replace our gutters?
Great question. Leaf Filter could be installed right on top of your existing gutters. We're sold. Call 833-LEAF-FILTER or go to getleaffilter.com for your free gutter inspection and estimate.
Closed captioning brought to you by mesobook.com.
Mesothelioma, it's all we do. With 9 offices across the country, let us come meet with you. Call us at 1-800-213-8000.
We know that hand washing, social distancing, and wearing a mask cut the spread of coronavirus. But one professor's question about airborne transmission has Dr. Anthony Fauci considering a new safety measure.
From what we know about particle physics and airflows, that there may be droplets that are much larger than 5 micrometers that continue to go around, which means it gives you some pause to think about, do we know what to do and should we investigate and make some changes?
That answer was prompted by a question by Joe Allen, who is a professor at the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health, and he's here with us now. Professor, thanks for being with us. Tell us what aspects of airborne transmission we should be focusing on.
Yeah, so thanks for having me on, Brianna. This is something my field has been talking about since February. The first article I wrote was in early February talking about the evidence of airborne transmission. There were telltale signs, if you look at the cruise ship, the choir practice, even the restaurants, that airborne transmission was happening. And to me, we knew enough to act. There was little downside. Now, airborne is not something that needs to be feared. It just means you have to add additional control measures into the arsenal of things you're already doing. Like you mentioned, hand washing, mask wearing, distancing. And you have to add in higher ventilation rates and higher filtration rates. Every piece of evidence since February has supported that airborne transmission is happening. I'm one of the 239 scientists that wrote a letter to the WHO encouraging them to change their stance on airborne transmission. That was just last month. So my question to Dr. Fauci, who I greatly admire and respect, I think he's been a beacon of truth in a lot of, let's just call it, lies over the past couple months. We know what you mean. Yeah, so thanks. And like any good scientist did, he took that and said, you know what, I'm taking it to my task force and we're investigating this answer. We're going to reevaluate new evidence as it comes in. I think that's all we can ask for out of any scientist is to take new information and maybe change their recommendations accordingly.
Yeah, and look, you're learning things every day, but when I hear you say that there were telltale signs you were looking at in February, I think that's alarming to a lot of people who are in communities and they're looking around at, say, restaurants that are opening back up. A lot of them are limiting capacity, but at the same time, I think there's a question mark about maybe risk is diminished, but I think there's still a sense that there's quite a bit of risk there.
Absolutely. I've been writing, I have over a dozen op-eds since that time, New York Times, Washington Post, USA Today. I've been on CNN a couple times talking about airborne transmission, trying to get this word out. Everyone in my field has been doing it too, and I'm hopeful that we're turning the corner. But if you're going to open up a restaurant, if you're going to open up a school or an office building, you need to pay attention to the air flow and air quality inside your space. In your home, open up your windows. If you have natural ventilation, open up your windows. If you have a mechanical system, bring in more outdoor air. It dilutes any airborne viral contaminants. Additionally, if you can't do any of that, you can simply use a portable air cleaner. Type you could buy at any local store, plug and play. it'll give you several air changes per hour of clean air if it has a HEPA filter. So you could get 4 or 5 air changes per hour. That means the volume of the air in the room is cleaned every 10, 12 minutes. And so that's a really good strategy, especially if you're not sure what to do. You know, there's a lot of guidance out there. My Harvard Healthy Buildings program, if you Google that, look at forhealth.org, lots of good evidence-based strategies that you should be deploying in schools, offices, restaurants, and every other indoor environment.
Okay, so Joe, we're looking at schools, right? Schools are trying to reopen here. So many of these classrooms, they don't have windows, or they have windows that don't open. And I mean, look, we've all, right, we know what air systems tend to be like in schools. They're part of they're always in there for years and years longer than they should be. There's problems with a lot of them. What can teachers and administrators be doing to help with airflow in classrooms?
Yeah, you know, we've underinvested in our school infrastructure for decades, and we are certainly paying the price. 90% of schools don't even meet the minimum ventilation standards, and the minimum standards are not set for infectious disease control. So we have an infrastructure problem here, and this is where my guidance in the Washington Post last week or 2 weeks ago was about what you can do even in under-resourced environments or schools or districts, even in short time. And this is where the use of the portable air cleaner can really help. First, try to get classrooms outside as much as you can, but if you're in a room, indoors in a classroom, and you get a portable air cleaner that's rated for the size of the room correctly, you can get many air changes of clean air. And my team has put out a tool. If you look up Harvard Healthy Buildings program, we put out a tool to help you understand how to find and purchase the right air cleaner, because it's not so straightforward. We understand that. But 5 simple steps. You enter the size of the room, the size of the classroom, ceiling heights, an estimate of ventilation. It'll tell you what the air cleaner, what you should look for in terms of an air cleaner that can clean the air in that classroom.
Joe, thank you so much. It's incredibly helpful to hear from you, Professor Joe Allen.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate this.
As coronavirus deaths continue to rise in Florida, Governor Ron DeSantis says that he is comfortable with people hugging the elderly if they're wearing PPE. But is that really a good idea? Plus, why some Democrats believe conservatives are fighting hard to get Kanye West on the ballot come November.
The conversations we have on United Shades of America are more important now than ever.
To me, reparations, I have to pay you for something. I never owned slaves. You didn't have to.
This system is not just not built for us, it's built against us.
My psoriatic arthritis pain, I had enough. It's not getting in my way.
Joint pain, swelling, tenderness, much better.
My psoriasis, clearer. Cosentyx works on all of this.
4 years and counting.
So watch out.
I got this.
Watch me.
Real people with active psoriatic arthritis are feeling real relief with Cosentyx. Cosentyx is a different kind of targeted biologic. It treats the multiple symptoms of psoriatic arthritis to help you look and feel better. It even helps stop further joint damage. Don't use if you're allergic to Cosentyx. Before starting, get checked for tuberculosis. An increased risk of infections and lowered ability to fight them may occur. Tell your doctor about an infection or symptoms. If your inflammatory bowel disease symptoms develop or worsen, or if you've had a vaccine or plan to, serious allergic reactions may occur.
I just look and feel better.
I got real relief with Cosentyx.
Watch me.
Novartis is committed to supporting our community. Learn more at Cosentyx.com.
When you see something that is not right, do something. Get in Trevor. Good Trevor.
If John Lewis, as a 19, 20-year-old, wasn't doing what he did, I would not be here.
Too many people struggled and died for every American to exercise their right to vote.
You cannot replace a John Lewis.
There are forces in America today want to take us back, but we're not going back. We're going forward.
Why spend all your money on just one part at the typical auto parts store, when at rockauto.com you can get all the parts you need with money left over to buy lunch? Go to rockauto.com.
All the parts your car will ever need, Rock Auto.
Today, women with nighttime urinary incontinence don't have to wake up wet. Wake up dry with the PureWick system, an innovative breakthrough system for managing female urinary incontinence at night.
Morning, Mom. Good morning. How did you sleep? Better, thank you. Oh, I'm so glad. Oh, good.
The PureWick system works outside the body to draw urine away, helping to keep skin dry and control odor. The PureWick system is a non-invasive option for management of moderate to severe urinary incontinence. It can also reduce trips to the bathroom, which is a known cause of nighttime falls. Now, nighttime falls can be one less thing to lose sleep over.
Simply call 800-224-0305 to order now or request a free info pack. And find out why 9 out of 10 caregivers and users would recommend the PureWick system. Call 800-224-0305 now.
This is PillPack. It's my new pharmacy. They package my medication by the dose and deliver it right to my door. And the best part? Their service is free. I only pay my copays. Does your pharmacy do that?
PillPack by Amazon Pharmacy.
Whoa, whoa. We need to be 6 feet apart when we argue.
This is the closest we've been in years.
So, what's your plan for retirement? See the world? See the grandkids? Keep doing what you love? However you plan to retire, you need to be prepared. Do you have a financial plan? Do you have a tax strategy? How much of your portfolio can you afford to withdraw? Learn more about these and 96 other retirement topics coming your way in this free guide from Fisher Investments.
Call now for Fisher's 99 retirement tips. Our free guide shows you helpful ways to make your retirement more enjoyable. It's sound advice for a more secure future. Call 1-800-379-5920.
You've worked years for a comfortable retirement. If your portfolio is over $500,000 and you want to make your retirement last, call now.
Get your free copy of 99 retirement tips today. Call 1-800-379-5920.
Don't just retire. Retire well.
Coronavirus. Get daily news updates. Sign up for the CNN newsletter.
In Florida, the pandemic is raging. Total cases surpassing 500,000. Deaths are creeping up to 8,000. Yet the Florida governor is floating the possibility of opening nursing homes to visitors. Here is Governor Ron DeSantis speaking at a roundtable discussion.
Look, I'm comfortable with the PPE. Hell, hug them. I mean, come on. Like, it's not gonna. If you have PPE on and you hug and you don't sneeze or do something on them, you're gonna be fine. Okay, that'd be very low. Now, obviously, if you're there for 30 minutes doing that and then you do, well, then that's going to be a different situation. But to just go give a hug, I mean, I think that you could do that, and I think that would be very meaningful.
I want to talk about this now with family medicine Dr. Adrian Burrows, who is joining us from Orlando. You know, I think, gosh, who doesn't want to hug their loved ones, right? I don't think we can underestimate, and I think maybe we took it for granted before, the medicinal impact of a hug, but we want to make sure that we're being safe. So I wonder what your opinion is on hugging with PPE and the possibility of coronavirus transmission.
Sure. So this is a very serious topic we're talking about when we're in the middle of a pandemic. And of course, I haven't seen my mother in 5 months and sat down with her. So I understand the emotion associated with that. That being said, I believe that comments like the one that Governor DeSantis gave are reckless and irresponsible. The reality is there is no evidence that shows that what he's saying is the right thing to do. Right now, we've made tremendous efforts in the nursing homes and skilled nursing facilities across the nation by practicing safe social distancing. We do have to work on trying to get our families back together with our vulnerable elderly, but to say that we should be able to do those things with PPE on with no evidence is not appropriate.
Okay, so the governor also floated this idea of letting family members who have coronavirus antibodies, so they've tested, right, that they have antibodies, the idea being they have some immunity, and allowing them to visit their relatives. Just give us the reality check on this, because there's actually a UK study that suggests immunity from antibodies may only last a few months.
So first of all, we have to decide what we're talking about. So a lot of these antibody tests that are being run are giving you antibodies against coronavirus and not necessarily against COVID-19. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that we don't have any evidence.
Can I have you pause, Dr. Burrows? Explain the difference in that, having antibodies when it comes to COVID versus coronavirus.
Sure. So some of these testing methods are looking for broad-based immunity to coronavirus, of which COVID-19 is one type, but they're not necessarily specific to COVID-19. So that's the first hurdle we have to get around. When you actually do have a test that shows that you have immunity to COVID-19, there's no evidence that shows how long that confers immunity for. In other words, it doesn't tell us how long you're immune for. And so I don't think that should be a criteria to determine whether or not you should visit someone. We should still continue to practice the same social distancing guidelines that have been agreed upon in the medical field.
Okay, and just in the Florida governor says youth sports should not shut down if athletes test positive. He says he wants to give fans what they want when it comes to sports in school and college. I wonder what your reaction is as someone who will have to treat these athletes and their families.
So again, we are in a stage where younger people have tended to do very, very well with COVID-19. That being said, they are still living with their parents, meeting up with their grandparents, and then putting those higher populations at risk. We have done a fairly poor job collectively across the nation controlling COVID-19, and now we're asking our youth to do that for us. And that's not okay. We have not set a proper example, so I am against those types of things until we truly get handle of this virus.
All right, Dr. Burrows, taking the conservative approach as so many medical professionals are, we appreciate your input here.
Thank you so much.
Conservatives aligned with President Trump working to get Kanye West on the ballot, why one local leader says it's all a plan to hurt Biden and why he's convinced it will backfire. Plus, a massive explosion rips through Beirut and through a bride's wedding photo shoot. What was going through her mind as she and her groom ran for their lives?
A new CNN Global Town Hall, the mask debate, the push to reopen schools. Months into the pandemic, you still have questions. Join Anderson Cooper and Dr. Sanjay Gupta for Coronavirus, Facts and Fears. Live tonight at 8.
Still fresh. Unstoppable. In-wash scent booster. Downy Unstoppables.
Home Advisor has been helping people get every kind of home project done for over 20 years. Perfect for when you need to repair a leaky faucet, have some yard work done, or fix a broken window. Or 2 broken windows. As long as things need fixing, Home Advisor is here to fix them. Pick a project, get paired with the best local pros, schedule and pay, online or with the app.
The Quarantine 15. So not happening. Lose up to 18 pounds in your first 2 months. You'll enjoy delicious new meals and probiotic shakes to help support your immunity. Delivered free. Get 50% off a month of meals and shakes.
Want to stop clogged, smelly drains before they start? You need Sani Sticks from Sani 360. The drain cleaning and sanitizing sticks you simply drop in any drain once a month to prevent backups, clogs, and embarrassing odors. Sani Sticks' concentrated enzyme formula repels and prevents the buildup of oils, fats, foods, and soap scum. I just drop in one and I'm done. Sani Sticks, now available where America's best cleaning products are sold.
I am in so much debt.
$62,710.31. SoFi allowed me to refinance all of my loans to one low interest rate and affordable monthly payment.
And I just feel like there's an end in sight now and that my debt doesn't define me anymore.
Smash yourself.
SoFi is helping me get my money right.
So what's going on?
I'm a talking dog.
The other issue?
Oh, I'm scratching like crazy.
You've got some allergic itch with skin inflammation. Apoquel can work on that itch in as little as 4 hours, whether it's a new or chronic problem. And Apoquel's treated over 8 million dogs.
Nice. And the talking dog thing?
Is it bothering you?
No, itching like a dog is bothering me.
Until dogs can speak for themselves, you have to. When allergic itch is a problem, ask for Apoquel. Apoquel is for the control of itch associated with allergic dermatitis and the control of atopic dermatitis in dogs. Do not use Apoquel in dogs less than 12 months old or those with serious infections. Apoquel may increase the chance of developing serious infections and may cause existing parasitic skin infestations or pre-existing cancers to worsen. Do not use in breeding, pregnant, or lactating dogs. Most common side effects are vomiting and diarrhea.
Feeling better?
I'm speechless. Thanks for the Apoquel.
Aw, that's what friends are for.
Ask your veterinarian for Apoquel. Next to you, Apoquel is a dog's best friend.
Looking for a car? Type this in. Car Gurus. Car Guru shows you cars from more dealers than any other leading site. Up to 50% more. With more than 4 million cars at your fingertips, you're a lot less likely to miss out on great deals. Deals you'll find safely by using Car Guru's contactless services. Go to Car Gurus to start your search and find your deal.
Closed captioning brought to you by Christian Faith Publishing. Tell your story and get your book published today.
Are you a Christian author with a book that you're ready to share with the world?
Get published now. Call for your free publisher kit today.
1-800-552-2176.
Across the league, NBA players have been taking a knee at the start of games to show their support for the Black Lives Matter movement. The kneeling has drawn ire from President Trump, but LA Lakers star LeBron James isn't having it.
I really don't think the basketball community are sad about losing his viewership, him viewing the game. That's all I got to say. I don't want to. I'm not going to get into because I already know where this could go, where it could lead to for tomorrow for me. I'm not going to get into it, but I think our game is in a beautiful position, and we have fans all over the world. And our fans not only love the way we play the game, we try to give it back to them with our commitment to the game, but also respect, what else we try to bring to the game and acknowledging, what's right and what's wrong, and I hope everyone, no matter the race, no matter the color, no matter the size, would see what leadership that we have at the top in our country, and understand that November is right around the corner, and it's a big moment for us as Americans. If we continue to talk about we want better, we want change. We have an opportunity to do that. So, but the game will go on without his eyes on it. I can sit here and speak for all of us that love the game of basketball. We could care less.
On Wednesday, the NBA announced a $300 million donation to form the league's first ever foundation to support Black communities. Meanwhile, in Wisconsin, Republicans are fighting hard, doing everything they can to help Kanye West come November. The rapper turned White House hopeful collected a slew of signatures this week with the help of GOP operatives in a coordinated effort to get Kanye's name on the Wisconsin ballot. So why are Republicans suddenly interested in Kanye? Many, including my next guest, believe that it's to hurt Joe Biden. Cavalier Johnson is the president of the Milwaukee Common Council. Johnson is a Democrat. And Cavalier, you tweeted about this. You said in part, in 2016, Trump's appeal to black voters was, what do you have to lose? In 2020, he and the Wisconsin GOP plan to trick enough black people in Wisconsin to vote for Kanye West to siphon votes from Biden. This is shameful, pitiful, and not surprising. This ruse will only galvanize African Americans and allies in Milwaukee and across the state to vote for Biden. Tell us how you see this helping of Kanye West and what you would say to criticism from people who say, well, look, if people want to support Kanye West, they can support Kanye West.
Well, thank you, Brianna, for having me this afternoon. First, let me tell you, when I first found out about this, I felt three things. I was outraged, I was shocked, but I wasn't really all that surprised. I was outraged because this was a clear political ploy by Republicans in Wisconsin in an attempt to get Kanye West on the ballot, to prop him up, to siphon votes away from Joe Biden, and to help the current president remain in office. I was shocked because, for the past 5 years, including when the incumbent president started off in his campaign to run for the office, that campaign and his administration has just continued to stoop lower and lower and lower. from xenophobia, white supremacy, to their current COVID response, to siphoning off millions in taxpayer dollars by visits to Trump-branded golf courses and the like. And then they found a way to stoop even lower by taking advantage of a man with a very large following, but also a mental health disorder in order to extract a political gain. And I wasn't surprised because Donald Trump and the Republican Party have moved the party so far to this position that it's no longer the party of Lincoln or Reagan or George W. Bush, somebody who inspired me to get into office myself. The party is now in a position where it reflects the values and the images of the current president. And that's a sad state of affairs. I don't think this is going to work. I think that people in Milwaukee and people across Wisconsin see it for what it is, and that's a ploy in order to help the incumbent president. People are sick and tired of the way that America's been moving forward under this president, and we're going to make sure that we do the right thing and vote for Joe Biden for president. This coming November.
So you do not think this is going to work, but look, Kanye West got a lot of signatures. Who do you think he got these signatures from?
Well, Kanye West did get a number of signatures. It's still to be determined if he has enough signatures in order to actually have ballot placement for this coming November. Look, anybody can run for president, including Kanye West. The issue is not Kanye West running for president. The issue is the tactics, the political strategy and tactics that Republicans are using, not having a conversation or a debate on the merits and on their record. They're using a political ploy in order to skirt the system, in order to cheat democracy, in order to get this president another term in office. And it's not fair, it's not right, and I think it's going to hurt this president and the Republicans come November.
And, you know, Kanye West, this is a choice that he is making. We have seen his family speak publicly about his mental health struggles, right? That is, he was diagnosed here in recent years with bipolar disorder, which, you know, I think we should be clear. There are a lot of Americans who also struggle with that mental health challenge as well. And I think we have to be very careful about how we talk about that. But he has publicly had struggles with this that we have heard his family address. When it comes to, for instance, we've seen some very erratic behavior following some of his rollouts. What does that say to you that in the midst of what we've seen of his struggles, that he is being, I guess, assisted by conservatives?
Yeah, I mean, what you just said, I think you're absolutely right. You know, I personally have members of my family who have bipolar disorder. It's no laughing matter. It's not something to take lightly. And it certainly isn't something that anybody should be trying to take advantage of, especially a political party and especially a president of the United States. You know, I'm you know, ashamed of the Republican Party, and they should feel ashamed too for the tactics that they're trying to pull in order to prop Kanye's campaign up for their own political gain. And this isn't something that's funny. As you said, millions of Americans suffer from this disease, from this mental disorder, and here you have a large American political party that's trying to exploit it for their own political gain, and it's not right, and it isn't fair.
What would you say to critics who say, look, if Joe Biden's going to win, he should be able to overcome a challenge of President Trump and Kanye West if he decides that he is going to be running in this state?
Yeah, and I think that Joe Biden will win in Wisconsin. I think he'll win the entire election. But the point of the matter is, again, not that Kanye West is running. Now, the point of the matter is that the Republicans are using these underhanded tactics in order to avoid and circumvent democracy and having a conversation on their record. That's what the issue is here. It's not about Kanye. It's about the tactics that Republicans are using that are underhanded.
All right, sir, thank you for being with us. Cavalier Johnson, we really appreciate it.
Thank you, Brianna.
Two new studies today on coronavirus, one finding a connection between gum disease and more severe coronavirus cases, the other showing the viral load of asymptomatic patients may actually match those of patients who have symptoms. Plus, the moment of the blast, we will speak with a bride who was posing for her wedding photos when one of the most powerful explosions that we have ever seen ripped through her city.
Breakfast wants you back. Try Just Crack an Egg, packed
packed with real potatoes, veggies, meat, and cheese. Just add a fresh egg for a hot scramble in less than 2 minutes to get those warm, fuzzy feelings again. Take breakfast back. Find it in the egg aisle.
If stress worsens your digestive issues, try new Align Digestive De-Stress. It combines Align's probiotic with ashwagandha to help soothe occasional digestive upsets, plus stress that can make them worse. Align Digestive De-Stress from the pros in digestive health.
This year, the Alzheimer's Association Walk to End Alzheimer's is everywhere. All of us are raising funds for one goal, a world without Alzheimer's and all other dementia. Because this disease isn't waiting, neither are you. Go to alz.org/walk.
At K-12's Destinations Career Academy, I'm one of a growing number of high school students preparing for a great future.
Destinations is tuition-free.
Online and in person, a place where I can get a traditional education with state-certified teachers and take electives
To explore fields I'm interested in. With Destinations, I'm ready for college,
career, or maybe a little bit of both. These schools may not be for everyone, but they're here for anyone. Anytime, any place. Education for anyone. Enroll today.
My jawline is really starting to droop. I get a little bit of the turkey neck.
That's right. No one wants a sagging jawline or double chin. Now you can just make them disappear. Genucel jawline treatment tightens, defines, and contours your saggy jawline in minutes.
I have spent a lot of money and tried a lot of products, and nothing has really worked as well as Genucel.
Genucel's new jawline treatment with dual peptide and MDL technology, Chamonix's most advanced technology ever. It not only tightens saggy jawline, but it plumps the lipophilic layers of your skin to contour and define the jawline within minutes.
Genucel works. Look at me.
You'll see a noticeable difference and look years younger in minutes. Call or click now to order Genucel's brand new jawline treatment and get double your order risk-free. Order now and get the breakthrough Genucel immediate effects for results in minutes, plus a surprise luxury gift and free express shipping. Visit Genucel.com now or call the number on your screen. That's Genucel.com. That's Genucel.com.
This is Steve. He used to have gum problems. Now, he uses TheraBreath Healthy Gums Oral Rinse with clinically proven ingredients, and his gum problems have vanished. TheraBreath. It's a better mouthwash at Walmart, Target, and other fine stores.
We're Carvana, the company who invented car vending machines and buying a car 100% online. Now we've created a brand new way for you to sell your car. Whether it's a year old or a few years old, we want to buy your car. So go to Carvana and enter your license plate, answer a few questions, and our techno wizardry calculates your car's value and gives you a real offer in seconds. When you're ready, we'll come to you, pay you on the spot, and pick up your car. That's it. So ditch the old way of selling your car and say hello to the new way at Carvana.
Hey, I'm Anderson Cooper. I'm excited to let you know that my digital show Full Circle is back. You can watch every Monday, Tuesday, and Friday, 6 p.m. live, Eastern Time, or anytime on demand. And to make sure you never miss a show, you can get alerts on every episode via the CNN app. I'll see you then.
Moments of life are special, and suffering from diabetes should not get in the way. US Med's mission is to find ways to make your diabetes more manageable and more comfortable. You deserve to enjoy life without the constant reminder of living with diabetes. If you monitor with 4 or more tests per day, inject insulin 3 or more times per day, or use an insulin pump, you may qualify to receive a continuous glucose monitor, the latest in diabetes technology. A continuous glucose monitor provides blood sugar readings without uncomfortable finger sticks and alerts you real time to potentially harmful spikes in your blood sugar levels. US Med is an approved provider for Medicare and over 500 private insurance companies. If you're a caretaker for someone who suffers from diabetes or have diabetes yourself and meet these conditions, please call our diabetic specialists now to see if you qualify for your continuous glucose monitor. US Med. Better service, better care.
An all-new episode of United Shades of America with W. Kamau Bell, Sunday at 10.
The search for survivors continues in Beirut as the death toll holds at 135. Dozens are still missing. A new video being shared on social media may shed new light on what happened in the moments before Tuesday's massive explosion. This video appears to be taken close to a fire in one of the buildings. It shows flames inside the building spreading rapidly before a second blast. The individual who is filming the view was actually knocked over as the explosion happened. And then in another dramatic video that has also gone viral, there's a bride posing for wedding pictures and she gets knocked off of her feet by the blast. CNN's Jumana Karacha spoke with her about that moment.
It was a picture-perfect wedding shoot. The glowing bride posing for photos, a short walk from the luxury wedding venue in downtown Beirut. As a smiling Dr. Isra Siblani looks down at her bouquet, horror strikes. Her big day blown away in an instant. The couple and the video crew run for cover. Destruction all around them.
At that moment, one thing I thought about it. Now I'm losing my life. I'm losing my husband. I'm gonna be buried under a building. Now I'm gonna die. I'm waiting the moment. How I'm gonna die? Is it going to be fast? Am I going to feel it? Am I going to be near him?
29-year-old Siblani, a U.S. resident, came back to her native Lebanon to get married. The original plan was to have the wedding party in the United States, but husband Ahmed Sbeih says he's been waiting for his U.S. visa for 3 years. With immigration laws getting stricter by the day under the Trump administration, the couple says they didn't want to be apart any longer and finally settled on celebrating their marriage in Beirut with friends and family in the city where their love first blossomed.
At that moment, the beautiful place I was in, and where the people were dining in the restaurant, shopping, walking, it turned out into a ghost town, filled with dust, shattered glasses, people yelling, bleeding. It was a nightmare.
Siblani did a final run-through of the bridal suite where she and Sbeih would spend the night after the party.
Oh, very nice.
Oohing and eyeing over the flourishes. When the couple returned, the red rose petals thrown off the bed were all that remained of the romance they'd envisioned.
Because we are alive, we can continue. And don't be sad or anything. We will continue and we will pass it and we will make it, inshallah.
Inshallah. And Isra, this is very emotional for you.
I don't know what to tell you, but trust me, there is no word to describe really what I feel, no matter how I talk.
In a city where life was turned upside down in seconds, Isra and Ahmed are just grateful to be alive. Jumana Karachi, CNN, Istanbul.
Back to our breaking news now. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine testing positive for coronavirus hours before he was supposed to meet with President Trump. Plus, the White House sets a deadline for a stimulus agreement, but talks are getting even messier.
Your mission: stand up to moderate to severe rheumatoid arthritis and take it on with Rinvoq. Rinvoq, a once-daily pill, can dramatically improve symptoms. Rinvoq helps tame pain, stiffness, swelling, and for some, Rinvoq can even significantly reduce RA fatigue. That's Rinvoq relief. With RA, your overactive immune system attacks your joints. Rinvoq regulates it to help stop the attack.
Rinvoq can lower your ability to fight infections, including tuberculosis. Serious infections and blood clots, sometimes fatal, have occurred, as have certain cancers, including lymphoma, and tears in the stomach or intestines, and changes in lab results. Your doctor should monitor your blood work. Tell your doctor about any infections, and if you are or may become pregnant while taking Rinvoq.
Take on RA. Talk to your rheumatologist about Rinvoq relief. Rinvoq. Make it your mission. If you can't afford your medicine, AbbVie may be able to help.
So who climbs ladders to clean their gutters?
Dad, I keep telling you it's dangerous.
Climbing ladders is too dangerous. Leaf Filter puts an end to that.
So how does it work?
Leaf Filter's three-piece system filters out leaves and debris, letting water flow through freely.
Do we need to replace our gutters?
Great question. Leaf Filter could be installed right on top of your existing gutters.
We're sold.
Call 833-LEAF-FILTER or go to getleaffilter.com for your free gutter inspection and estimate.
People across America trust Nutrisystem because we deliver your favorite foods made healthier right to your door. Get 50% off a month of meals and probiotic shakes to help support your immunity. Order right now to get 50% off meals and shakes.
Iron Mike Tyson is back for the ultimate showdown.
Dad, your arm's too big.
Well, I've been working out, son. Shark Week's main event, Tyson versus Jaws, Sunday on Discovery.
Making the right financial decisions has never been more important. Turn to Rocket Mortgage.
and we can help guide you through those significant decisions now, when they matter most. Here's a great idea that could work for you. A Yorgage is a fixed-rate mortgage that conforms to your needs. With a Yorgage, you control the home loan term, anywhere from 8 to 30 years. That custom term can help you finish paying off your mortgage in a time frame that works best for you. And by taking years off your loan, you'll potentially save thousands of dollars in interest over the life of your mortgage, helping you take control and achieve your financial goals. A cash-out refinance from Rocket Mortgage could give you the boost that you're looking for. Just remember, at Rocket Mortgage, we're committed to giving you the best mortgage experience. To learn more about a Yorgage and the many benefits of a cash-out refinance, call us today or go to rocketmortgage.com.
Go to school, get a job, get a second job, a third, a fourth. This is America's new gig economy. I'm in Austin, Texas to see how it all works and how it doesn't. How many hours a week are you doing the gig stuff? Constant. Just a hustle. When are you sleeping again?
Like, so how I do...
On an average day, you're sleeping 2 hours?
The basic struggle of our time is about whether we can have a system where everyone can do well.
An all-new episode of United Shades of America with W. Kamau Bell, Sunday at 10.
I would always try and kind of hide my face because you could see my spots.
Stop suffering from melasma with Muesli Face RX. The spot cream is 10 times more potent than over-the-counter and prescription alternatives.
Nothing has worked until Muesli.
When we started our business, we were paying like an arm and a leg for the postage. I remember setting up ShipStation. I think it was just like 1 or 2 clicks. Everything was up and running. I was printing out labels and saving money.
ShipStation saves us so much time. It makes it really easy and seamless. Pick an order, print everything you need, slap the label onto the box, and it's ready to go.
Our cost for shipping, we're cut in half, just like that.
ShipStation, the #1 choice of online sellers. Go to shipstation.com/try and get 2 months free.
Stop wasting time. If you're spending countless hours with spreadsheets trying to organize your finances, you're missing out. Let Truebill do the work for you. It's the easiest way to save time and money. Download today and take control of your finances.
I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, and this is CNN.
Presidential campaigns are grueling, not just for the candidates and their families, but also for the journalists who cover them. The new CNN film, On the Trail Inside the 2020 Primaries, produced exclusively for HBO Max, gives you an insider's view of just what that experience is like. It follows some of CNN's female correspondents, reporters, and embeds as they cover the election.
We are CNN's eyes and ears on the ground. We know what you have to raise the roof about. If we don't walk towards her and she goes over there, then we'll miss that. It's a grueling job that takes almost everything you have some days.
Senator, were you satisfied with Bernie Sanders' answer on whether a woman could win this election?
It's an argument between him and Elizabeth, and I was not in the room. You're basically giving up a part of your life for the next nearly 2 years. But afterwards, you will have covered a presidential election.
How'd that feel? Feels good. That's why I do this job.
And joining me now are 2 of CNN's political embed producers who are featured in the film, Daniela Diaz and Jasmine Wright. So, Jasmine, we saw a bit of your life in that clip that we just played, and you said it takes almost everything you have some days. So just take us through a day in the life for us.
Absolutely. I mean, a day in the life is you wake up and you're in a foreign city at a hotel, you have some coffee while you get caught up on the day, and then you get ready to go to 2 to 3 to sometimes 4 campaign events. Sometimes they're in different states, and that means that you're packing your gear up that you charged the night before, putting it into your bag, and then you are taking it with you to a campaign event where you film it, you log it, you record what was new or what wasn't new, and then you go back and you do that 4, 5, 6 more times, and you have to do it quickly, and you have to drive your own car, and you have to answer emails, and you have to talk to your boss. So there are so many juggling parts to this job that I hope that the film is really telling people, like, this is the work and the sacrifice, but also the fun that we have in doing it.
Yeah, it's hard. It is so much work, and it is also so much fun. And, you know, Daniela, you tell us what some of the biggest challenges have been for you on the trail.
You know, Rihanna, in this job, and you know this yourself, you know, you did this job, you learn to function without proper meals, without a lot of sleep. You live out of a suitcase. You have to multitask. It's incredible. You learn all these skills in this job that otherwise I probably would not have mastered. It's beautiful.
It is beautiful. And, you know, Daniela, I will tell you, I remember when I was in the middle of it, my producer, Pallavi Reddy, who still works at CNN, said to me, you know, it was like one moment where it was just insane. And she said, one day we're really going to miss this. And it's true, you do kind of miss it. I wonder if you can speak, Daniela, to sort of, you know, it's such a unique experience. What about it being just this intense experience is something that you think you particularly enjoy or that you're going to look back on?
You know, I look back, everything has changed with coronavirus. There's a lot less travel, there's a lot less contact with voters. It's something I really miss, especially as we head into a general election. I really miss that part of talking to people about the issues they care about, talking to people who go to these campaign events, or even, you know, outside a grocery store, or when you're running errands in a city you've never visited before. Those are the things that make this job so rewarding and fulfilling.
And what about you, Jasmine?
In addition to the voters, I will miss seeing the other reporters on the trail. I think that you create such a camaraderie with people who aren't necessarily in your network, but you guys work together to cover the campaign because it can be so much that shared partnership is absolutely essential to getting the job done well. And really getting to see the country and taking the temperature of why folks are exercising their constitutional duty to come out and see a candidate that may have a long shot to win, but they believe will have an impact on their lives.
I'm so proud of both of you, and it's so exciting to get to talk to you as you're in the middle of a historic race under historic circumstances. Daniela and Jasmine, thanks to both of you. And be sure to check this out on the trail inside the 2020 primaries, which starts streaming today on HBO Max. Our coverage continues now with Brooke Baldwin.
Hi there, I'm Brooke Baldwin. You are watching CNN. Thank you for being here. You know, we may not be able to get rid of the coronavirus, but it is up to us to control it. Strong words today from Dr. Anthony Fauci as his colleague on the White House task force, Dr. Deborah Birx, warns that 9 U.S. cities, along with California's Central Valley, are seeing this uptick in their positivity rates. Dr. Fauci says those numbers offer a warning about what's to come.
It's a clear indication that you are getting an uptick in cases, which inevitably, as Dr. Birx is saying, is the time to accelerate the fundamental preventive measures that we all talk about: masks, social distancing, avoiding crowds, outdoors greater than indoors, washing hands, etc. Those kind of simple things can actually prevent that uptick from becoming a surge. So she was warning the states and the cities to be careful, because this is a predictor of trouble ahead.
And for the second straight day, nearly 1,400 Americans have died from this virus. The CDC is now increasing its projections for total U.S. deaths by the end of this month to 181,000, a jump of nearly 8,000 from a forecast just last week. And while you can see that cases are on the decline across the country, that is in part because testing is also down. Officials telling the Associated Press that Americans are frustrated by the long lines just to get a test and the even longer wait for the results. And you can count Dr. Fauci as one of them.
It is very difficult. It's been this way from the very beginning of the issue of defending things that have to do with testing when you're given an example like you just gave me about waiting 5 to 7 days. You know, I would be non-credible and I wouldn't be true to myself if I say, oh, that's okay. It's not okay, period. And we need to do better. And I wish we had done better.
And breaking this afternoon, for the second time in a matter of weeks, an elected official has tested positive for coronavirus just hours before he was set to meet with the president. This time, it is the governor of Ohio, Mike DeWine. He was supposed to greet the president when he arrived in Cleveland today, but he tested positive. The governor says he's had no symptoms and is headed back to Columbus to quarantine. Now, you may recall late last month, Congressman Louis Gohmert tested positive before he was supposed to travel with the president to Texas. Also worth remembering, the president routinely blasts the need for expansive testing and likes to call testing overrated. Ryan Nobles is traveling with the president. He is there in Cleveland. And Ryan, how did this all play out today?
Well, Brooke, you mentioned the fact that the president often downplays testing, but the simple fact is that anyone who comes in close contact with the president of the United States is given a rapid coronavirus test. And Governor Mike DeWine of Ohio was among those scheduled to meet the president on the Tarmac in Cleveland today. He was given one of those tests, and it came back positive. So DeWine went back to Columbus. He's eventually going to quarantine at his home in Cedarville, Ohio. He's also expected to get another test, and President Trump talked about DeWine testing positive earlier today. Take a listen.
A very good friend of mine just tested positive. Do you know that? Our great governor, Governor of Ohio, DeWine, just tested positive just here. And we want to wish him the best. He'll be fine. I just said I look forward to seeing the governor. They said, sir, he just tested positive. But he's a great guy. He's done a fantastic job.
Of course, Brooke, Mike DeWine has been one of the most aggressive governors in the country in responding to the coronavirus pandemic. He's thought of as a pragmatic person, somebody that's been guided by the science. And Ohio among those states that really put in strict modifications to social behavior in the wake of the coronavirus pandemic. So DeWine won't be here to greet the president at this Whirlpool factory in Clyde, Ohio, where we are now. And Brooke, I should also point out that this event is taking all the necessary precautions. Every one of us had to put on a mask when we came in. Our temperatures were checked. We had to answer a series of questions related to our potential exposure to coronavirus. And they've even set up the chairs here to be socially distant. The president has arrived here at this Whirlpool factory and is expected to speak here in the next 10 minutes. Brooke?
We'll listen in for him and we'll take a bit of that live. But let me also, Ryan, want to ask you about something else the president said. Let's all listen.
He's going to do things that nobody ever would ever think even possible because he's following the radical left agenda. Take away your guns, destroy your Second Amendment, no religion, no anything, hurt the Bible, hurt God. He's against God, he's against guns.
He's against God. The he's referring to is Joe Biden, and we know Joe Biden is a devout, a practicing Catholic. Why would the president say that?
Well, it's difficult to explain that, Brooke, but we know that this is a pattern with President Trump. This is the first time he's used this specific attack line on camera, but we've been tracking these tele-rallies that the president has been holding with supporters across the country. These are via the phone where people can dial in or listen on Facebook, and they're targeted towards specific states across the country, designed to try and replicate those big rallies that the president was famous for 4 years ago. And he's actually said something along these exact lines before, essentially reaching out to conservative voters, Christian conservatives who support the president, and trying to make them believe that Joe Biden would not be in their best interest. And this also follows a more subtle line of attack and also a subtle outreach to these conservative voters that the president has specifically honed in on. Of course, we saw Vice President Mike Pence just this week in an interview with a Christian broadcasting network suggesting that John Roberts, the Supreme Court justice, has not been good for conservatives. So this is an area where they believe that they've got a lot of area to grow, and they believe that this is an important part of their base. But Joe Biden, of course, a man of deep faith, his campaign responded to this very quickly, saying that it was not a very fair attack on the vice president. It's something that they plan to defend.
As they should. Ryan Nobles, thank you. Most of the nation's biggest school districts are choosing to restart virtually, but the districts that are choosing to allow kids back into the classroom are already seeing problems. In Mississippi, for example, 6 students and 1 staff member have tested positive for coronavirus in a district that serves 2,700 students. More than 100 other students have been sent home to quarantine. And then you have this troubling news out of Georgia, as it's also reopening schools. It's now the 5th state in the country to surpass 200,000 cases of coronavirus. The Cherokee County school system, that's a bit out of Atlanta, has now reported at least 4 cases of COVID-19, and that is just since Monday. CNN's Diane Gallagher is live in Atlanta. And Diane, dozens of students have now been forced into quarantine. What are the schools saying to you?
Yeah, and so we're talking 60-plus students that have now been sent home because they came in contact with those 3 students and 1 teacher in Cherokee County who tested positive for COVID-19 since school started back on Monday. They're at home for 14 days. The district is likely going to see some additional cases just because of what we know about COVID and having those positive cases in the classrooms on the first day of school. Now, what they're doing to kind of handle this is essentially Cherokee County has says that they're doing contact tracing, having anybody who was in contact with those who've had positive cases go home and quarantine, and they're deep cleaning classrooms. But it's not just Cherokee County, Brooke. I just got off the phone a few moments ago with the superintendent of Columbia County, Georgia. They also have 4 positive cases at 3 different high schools in their district. And they talked about the fact that these were from first day of school cases, so they didn't catch it at school, but they brought it to school. And that they tried to do these mitigating things to try and do as much as they could because they knew the risk factor in bringing kids back to school. In Columbia County, for example, they're using these A-B schedules. So only some of the students are in school each day to try and limit how many kids are there each day. In Columbia County, at the middle and high schools, they are requiring the students to wear masks in transition periods, in public areas, and anytime they can't social distance. That's not the case in Cherokee County, though. In Cherokee County, the district has basically said until there's a mask mandate at a statewide level, we're not going to have one at school. And of course, we have extensively covered the governor's position on mask mandates here in Georgia. And you mentioned, look, we've crossed 200,000 cases here, only the 5th state to do so. We're closing in on 4,000 deaths in Georgia. And look, Dr. Deborah Birx has said that the Atlanta area is still one of high concern for her because of the rate of infection here when it comes to COVID-19. And so none of the students who are in classes are forced to be there. This was a choice that their families made to send them back. All of these districts are doing some kind of hybrid teaching, Brooke, but still, for the kids who are in school, this is concerning. Their classmates are getting COVID, and if they weren't one of the ones contacted to go home, they're not sure what this means for the rest of their school year.
Massively concerning, and for all the parents across the country wondering, my goodness, will this be a microcosm of what may happen in my kid's school? Yeah. Diane, thank you, out of Georgia. And this whole question, is it safe to send my child to school? It's a critical topic right now. The president's own chief of staff, Mark Meadows, put it this way.
And I think we can all transparent. Anybody who sent their kids to school know that a lot of times the kids come home and you catch whatever you got from your kids who were transferring it back and forth.
Dr. Rob Davidson is an emergency room physician. And Dr. Davidson, good to have you back. And I want to start on what we just heard. You know, any parent knows if your kid gets sick, goes to school, picks something up, chances are, you probably will too. But we're not talking about a common cold here. We're talking about a fatal virus. What would you say to the chief of staff?
I would say he's absolutely correct. Unfortunately, we're dealing with a virus for which most of us have no antibodies, that we've never seen before, and for which, for a certain subset of individuals, this is an extremely deadly virus. And remember, this isn't just a virus where you either die or you're just fine. Significant numbers of people have long-term sequelae. We're talking months now, but we don't know what happens years down the road. People get blood clots and strokes and heart attacks related to COVID. This isn't just a cold, and the chief of staff should know that when he's talking that way.
The president is tripling down on his claim that children are immune, and we know that just not to be true. The latest CDC data shows that nearly 250,000 of kids from birth to age 17 have tested positive. So why is spreading this kind of false information dangerous?
I think it's dangerous because it gives everyone a false sense of security. Now, it is true that kids have not suffered the consequences as adults have. The deaths in kids have been significantly lower. But they are not immune, and they, in fact, spread the virus. Good studies out of South Korea, kids aged 10 to 19 spread it just as much or greater than adults spread it. So my daughter's best friend's father has cancer and is getting chemotherapy every other week. I don't know if they'll ever let their daughter go back to school until we have a vaccine, nor do I think they should. And this is a concern that families have to face all across this country.
But to the bit about going back to school, Dr. Fauci even this morning, warned that it may not be a good idea for kids to go back to school in certain areas. Listen to what he said.
There are some areas, like we've seen over the last couple of weeks to months, of very significant viral activity. Under those circumstances, you've got to use common sense. You look at the CDC guidelines and you look at the common sense that it may not be prudent to get the children back to school in those areas.
Dr. Davidson, since the concentration of COVID cases varies so much around the country, who should be making the decision to send kids back to school? Is it at the federal level, the state, or local officials, school superintendents?
Well, I certainly think at the federal level there is a role, and the role is to mandate masks so we can decrease the spread of virus in the communities and in schools. Just like you said, the governor of Georgia is not going to mandate it, therefore those school districts aren't going to mandate it. So the president could do that today. We also need to get rapid turnaround testing at a higher level, significantly higher level, and the president has said numerous times he thinks it's overrated, even though anyone who comes into contact with him gets tested with rapid turnaround testing. So I think those things can be done by the federal government. Beyond that, I do think it comes down to local districts to look at what's going on in their communities, talk with their parents, talk with their staff, and figure out what works for them. But the federal government has to lead on the parts of this that can decrease the transmission of virus.
Dr. Rob Davidson, thank you so much. Good to see you again.
Thanks, Brooke. You too.
1 million more Americans just filed for unemployment, and lawmakers are still very far apart on reaching a deal to help ease the pain for so many of you. What are they waiting for? Let's talk to Senator Kirsten Gillibrand. And a California mayor's fight with COVID gets very personal after the virus has taken his own mother, and his stepfather is currently on a ventilator. Long Beach Mayor Robert Garcia will join me live. And Michelle Obama making a big personal revelation, saying the coronavirus and racial inequality in the United States is giving her, quote, low-grade depression. Hear her words ahead. You're watching CNN. I'm Brooke Baldwin.
Everything you touch, everything you feel is Jaguar, especially when you hit the accelerator.
Never stop creating, never stop innovating. Every day is a chance to show the world something it has never seen.
The I-Pace.
This is how Jaguar delivers electric performance.
When the world gets complicated, a lot goes through your mind. With Fidelity Wealth Management, your dedicated advisor can give you straightforward advice and tailored recommendations. That's the clarity you get with Fidelity Wealth Management.
Home Advisor has been helping people get every kind of home project done for over 20 years. Perfect for when you have a thing or two that needs fixing. Use Home Advisor and we'll do everything to fix your everything.
So sad, tears are in your eyes. Come on and talk to me now. Don't be ashamed to cry. Let me see you through.
Animals are abused every day, and they can't ask for help. They endure indescribable acts of violence, but they're without a voice. Without a voice to say they're frightened and in pain. They're alone, they're scared, and they need your help.
I'll stand by you. I'll stand by you. Won't let nobody hurt you. I'll stand by you.
Visit us at joinaspca.org or call this number now to join. Sign up for just 63 cents a day, and you'll help rescue animals who are suffering. Please make this the moment that you say, I won't stand by while they suffer. When you sign up with your monthly gift, you give them the shelter and the love they deserve. Do it in the next 10 minutes, and we'll send you the photo of an animal from our shelter, a free ASPCA t-shirt. If you've wondered if your support will make a difference, I can tell you, it will. And if you've ever thought about helping, this is the time.
I'll stand by you.
It's only 63 cents a day. Please go online or call before it's too late.
Now Simparica Trio simplifies protection. Ticks and fleas? See ya!
Heartworm disease? No way.
Simparica Trio is the first chewable that delivers all this protection. And Simparica Trio is demonstrated safe for puppies. It's simple. Go with Simparica Trio. This drug class has been associated with neurologic adverse reactions, including seizures, used with caution in dogs with a history of these disorders. Protect him with all your heart. Simparica Trio.
Closed captioning brought to you by TheraWorks Relief. Prevent and relieve muscle cramps.
If you suffer from muscle cramps in your legs and feet, TheraWorks Relief can help.
Get TheraWorks Relief today. Available in stores everywhere.
On Capitol Hill, the Senate will not go on recess as planned today as the White House and congressional leadership try to find common ground on a stimulus deal that is, to quote the White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, in need of a breakthrough moment.
I see a light at the end of the tunnel. We just don't know how long the tunnel is. But we have to move quickly, more quickly, because the light at that end of the tunnel may be the freight train of the virus coming at us.
There are a lot of struggling Americans who could tell Speaker Pelosi exactly how long this tunnel has been. And that will continue to be endless unless the Democrats let us provide more relief to the country.
With me now, Democratic Senator Kirsten Gillibrand of New York. Senator Gillibrand, welcome back.
Hi, Brooke.
Another 1.2 million Americans filed for unemployment benefits just this last week. And so the $600 boost that the federal government was providing ran out last week. There was zero certainty on when or if that money will be back. And that's a matter of whether someone can pay their rent or buy groceries or diapers or get medication. And I know Speaker Pelosi told CNN today that a short-term extension is not acceptable. Do you agree, or would you accept one?
No, I think it's really important to stay at the table and continue to negotiate for the benefit of the people we represent. People
but
are
why
struggling.
not agree to something short-term, if I may? I mean, because Americans are struggling and this issue is so imminent.
Because what we've seen from Mitch McConnell, he's had a proposal from the House for 2 months. Common sense proposals to get money for food stamps, money for rental relief, money for doctors and nurses and healthcare providers, money for testing and tracing, all the things we desperately need, money for cities and states. And Mitch McConnell has sat on that bill. So I think any short-term relief is not actually negotiating good faith. They have no intention of helping the American people.
Would you be willing to accept no deal if Republicans insist, let's say, on dropping the rate of the enhanced unemployment benefits below $600?
I think it's better to stay here and keep negotiating and not give up. I mean, the truth is $600 is needed. If you don't get that added $600, you won't have enough money to pay your rent or put food on the table or pay your bills. And so that's the minimum that families need to just stay above water. So I don't think we should be nickel and diming the American people. I think we should give them the relief they need. We should give it to them now. And Mitch McConnell has sat on his hands for 2 months, and it's an outrage. So nobody should be going home until we have a deal and we should keep working until we have a deal to help people. People
but
are
what
struggling.
If both sides end up at loggerheads? You heard what Mark Meadows said, that if no deal is reached, that the president will then just issue an executive action. I mean, do you take that seriously, and can he even do that?
President Trump does not have the authority to issue executive action on these issues. Again, President Trump makes up the rules as he goes along. He has no clue as to what his abilities are and what he's legally able to do. And so as a result, he sat on his hands for 2 months, going golfing and doing whatever he does, but not actually coming to the table to talk to Leader Schumer and Speaker Pelosi, to talk about what does the American people need right now. And so we stand ready to provide that relief. We need money for cities and states. All that Mitch McConnell has asked for is liability relief. He's doing the bidding of his corporate donors, who all they want is to make sure they can't be sued, even if they're terrible employers and put their employees at risk. It's absurd. And so I think Democrats stand ready to make these negotiations happen and to provide the relief that our cities and our states need and that people need. People are really struggling. I have constituents who are living in their cars. I have constituents who don't have a home because they live with an abuser and they can't go home or they'll be killed or they'll be harmed. Our homeless shelters are overfilled. The lines outside of food banks are long. I mean,
I hear you on all of this, Senator, but again, I'm going back to, I can't let go of your first point that you wouldn't be okay with just a temporary short-term deal. For all of the reasons you just outlined, just to give some people some temporary relief until a bigger solution is met, why not be willing to do that from the Democrat side?
Because it won't work. If you say, okay, 1 more week, they're not even going to get the check by the time the negotiation is ended. Like, we have to get to the table, agree to a package that actually meets the moment. Just one check, one more unemployment insurance check isn't enough. One more relief payment isn't enough.
Okay.
People don't have enough food to feed their families. So unless you're willing to talk about all the needs, you're not even going to begin to scratch the surface. And I don't think it's fair. What Mitch McConnell will offer is what he's offered. He will offer an unemployment check, but he wants to make sure there's unlimited liability protection for companies. He wants to make sure that corporations get a tax credit, tax deduction. Across America, because schools have been closed. And if you are a woman who works outside, going to a grocery store, being at a pharmacy, working at the front lines of a hospital. These are our critical workers, but they're disproportionately women of color. And so in a more holistic way, the critical work should be compensated at a higher rate. That these workers should be given time and a half, that we have to restructure the workplace to recognize how valuable they are with universal sick days, making sure every worker has at least 2 weeks off, with national paid leave. We're the only industrialized country in the world that doesn't have paid leave, and it's a